Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hunter Base Podcast Live. What do Maverick Hunters do when they're not hunting Mavericks? They go back to the base, recharge, and shoot the shit. I'm your host with the most, Zeromaster, and with me is my co-host, Mr. Up Here.
Heyo.
And it has been a hot minute since this podcast has happened. A lot of things have changed. We're different people now.
We've evolved.
The last episode we recorded was like a first part of an E3 recap that you and Doom were in, and we never finished it.
No, it was. Yeah, no, we did 2 episodes together. We did one where you, me, and was it Skringo at that time? I can't remember. It was someone that I didn't have a lot of experience. And then the second one was Doom, and Doom's whole entire thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Famous Owens was like, everything sucked. I was like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the way it goes sometimes. So for those of you who are new to this, hi. This is the Hunter Base Podcast. This is used to be a pre-recorded podcast that I did with my pal Canadian Jutsu, who has his own life things going on. But I wasn't always with him. I would always just host and have other people on, and Mr. Up Here has been on before. We decided months ago, we were like, hey, let's bring this back. Let's keep doing it. And I just sat on my hands for a while because I had other projects and other things to do. And then with all the new, with just the amount of news that came out in the last couple of weeks, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time that I actually bring this back and we actually do it again.
The content is ripe for the picking. You
exactly.
A fantastic time. So
exactly. And I also want to just preface a couple of things for people who are new here. So as you guys can see on the screen, it says that interaction with chat, subs, bits, donations, stuff like that will be limited. Sam redeems and TTS are off for this. The reason we do this is because we want to stay focused on the topics and because we are recording a high quality version of this for Patreon and for the YouTube upload and all that such stuff. So I want to keep the focus on the podcast. We will interact with chat when we need to. If you have questions, you can feel free to drop them. We will do a Q&A section at the end where subs and patrons will get priority, but anybody will be able to ask questions. And I think going forward, we're probably going to try and do this possibly monthly, if not more frequent, but we're going to wait and see, test the waters here, see how it goes for the next little bit. And then before we go balls deep into stuff, because I know one thing that we're definitely going to be looking at is when Summer Game Fest happened, because E3 is not a thing anymore. So
yeah, ripped to gone. That. My childhood crushed, kicked, and thrown off of a bridge.
Pour one out for E3. Not that E3 was that great the last few years, anyways.
But like still though, like what kills me is that we went from having E3 to them just co-opting the Game Awards to basically be E3. Like, come on, guys.
I guess so. I don't know. The Game Awards go through a cycle. Everybody dislikes it, and then everybody likes it, and then everybody dislikes it again. So it's not. I don't know. Them having an extra day of the devs for indie devs and stuff, I don't care. That's cool. I like that. It is what it is. We'll see what we get.
Devolver making their own game, ripped to the end of E3 with the game based off of yeesh.
Was that your dog?
No, that's my father-in-law. He's sneezing. Okay, yeah. So, hi everyone. I live with my in-laws.
So that was a sneeze. That sounded like a bark.
Sneeze. That is the sneeze of a 76-year-old Filipino man. It rattles the walls, and it can be heard across the planet.
Oh my goodness! I can hear it.
I have a noise gate on. That's how powerful this is.
The man's got to sneeze. Gesundheit, sir.
Hold on, I got a new button. I have to try. Every time we sneeze, I'll just.
Oh, you're gonna be master of the soundboard.
It's not called the swear button either. It's literally called the sneeze button, which I think is hilarious. Like, how many times does a person sneeze on a podcast?
Every time I sneeze, you're gonna have to censor it, otherwise VTuber sneezes will make a clip.
God.
Oh God, you're gonna be like Linus on the WAN show.
Oh no. With his hard R.
Every time he goes to swear, he just hits the beep button instead.
Yeah, what's crazy is like when you self-censor, because that means you're doing it knowing that you're going to censor yourself.
I mean, what the...
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I just take my and I put it in... it's weird. You know what? Okay, here's the thing. Censor jokes to me are on the same level as fart jokes, and we all think we're higher brow than that. But then it happens, and we all still laugh. It's still funny for some reason, even if we don't want to laugh at it.
Exactly. I mean, like I might have a simple sense of humor because I do find stuff like fart jokes funny, but like even I have like a limit. You know
like if it's all fart jokes for like 7 minutes, you're like, all right, man, I need it.
Like I
gotta get hit with something else.
I'm all about the puns and the dad jokes. Like, don't get me started.
Dad jokes, man. They are a single basic white man's defense against the dark arts. That's all we have is dad jokes.
But just to let anybody, whether you're listening to this live, which we are doing on, we're going to be doing Sundays at 8:00 Eastern time, or if you're listening to this after the fact, either early on Patreon or on the YouTube channel, we are going to, as per usual, the episodes will go out early on Patreon, and the audio version will go out on Patreon as well. Unfortunately, Shout Engine kind of closed down, so we don't really have a way to distribute audio anymore other than using Patreon. I'm going to see if I can find another way to re-upload all the old episodes, audio version somewhere. But Shout Engine kind of kicked the bucket, so you can't get the audio version unless you go to the Patreon now. So, on top of that, we're going to be doing an extra topic that's going to be Patreon exclusive. So if you're not part of the Patreon, you can hit !Patreon in the chat. If you're live, it will link you to my Patreon page. For as little as $1 Canadian, which is, I believe, 66 cents American or less, you can get early access to not just the podcast, but my videos and the extra content, which are going to be.
Yeah, but let's be real though. You want to give more. You do. I don't know if you see this person over here.
Listen to this guy.
Trust me, you want
Mr. Hard Sell over here.
Mr. Hard something. I
don't know. So just to go over tonight, we're going to discuss a couple of topics. We're going to be talking about Rooster Teeth's closure, the passing of Akira Toriyama, the artist, creator of Dragon Ball, Sandland, a whole bunch of other things.
You said that, and the first thing I thought of was the artist formerly known as, like, Prince. So it'd be like Akira Toriyama, the artist formerly known as Goku.
And we're also going to talk about the Mario Day reveal, which I don't know if you saw, but I definitely saw. And whatever else we feel like it. We do have a, like I said, and we're saving one topic for Patreon only, so we'll be getting to that after the fact. And you'll see that on
And I'll take my shirt off, too, so it's worth it for that alone.
Well, we can't. Well, the thing is, we can't do that anymore. We're gonna have to discuss that in the Patreon.
Wait, hold up. Like, no, I'm sorry. If we're being told that I can't take my shirt off, which, by the way, voluptuous abs. If no one's ever seen them, they're like waffle folds. All right, no, they're not. But my point here being is, like, I don't know if you've seen some of the other Twitch streamers that are going on right now, but someone right now has green screened their pants so that they have a reason to just show their ass on the stream, and the gameplay is on their ass.
All right. All right.
I just want to point that
out. Let's save it for the Patreon topic. Let's save that for the Patreon topic. But let's just roll right into, I guess, our first topic. Rooster Teeth stuff.
All right, so we're starting there. Got it.
And I'm gonna have a unique perspective on this because, to me, I'm not so sad about the end of Rooster Teeth, but it's the end of an era for where what little was left of Screw Attack is finally dead. Just for, and I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent here, but just for full disclosure, Screw Attack's how I got my start as a content creator. They put my videos on the front page a couple of times. I was part of Screw Attack Canada technically, even though we weren't really part of a group. We just kind of had a denomination, whatever, back when they did that. And I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that website, to be honest, because that's what got me started. And it's kind of sad because I know Screw Attack was already basically dead, because when Rooster Teeth bought them, they kind of canceled everything else except for a Death Battle, and it just became Death Battle. But now with Rooster Teeth closing, I don't know what's going to happen to Death Battle, because who owns it now? WB technically owns it, I think.
Yeah, and I think genuinely with that, they might So the thing with Death Battle is that it's kind of like Red versus Blue, where like I think they're successful enough on their own that they could probably, especially since through the articles and stuff I've read, WB is really looking at getting rid of this, and they tried multiple times to offload Rooster Teeth onto another production company, and nobody wanted it because short form comedy content just isn't hitting right now. Like you're seeing it with sitcoms. Like sitcoms are falling off because people just don't have the attention span to watch something more than like 5 minutes. So with that kind of stuff going on, and again, I'm not an expert, take everything I say with a grain of salt, but I really feel like Death Battle probably has enough of a leg to stand on that if they wanted to continue, they could probably just negotiate the rights to own themselves as a YouTube channel at least.
Yeah.
And then they would still, like, the merch and stuff would probably go to someone else. But, like, the team has been pretty isolated on their own for a while now.
But and that's one thing, because another person that I follow, I listen to a couple people give their perspectives on this. Oh, what's her name? Australian girl. She used to write reviews about. Oh God, what's her name? I can't remember it now. But she, this person apparently, she worked when she was with Rooster Teeth. She was in a separate thing that Rooster Teeth owned, and so technically, even though she was hired, like she worked for Rooster Teeth, she really was part of this other project. So it wasn't like that big of a deal to her about it, but because she still worked with those people. And what I will say is that I could see Death Battle and a lot of these other shows doing what the second win thing. I don't know if you know what that means, but when the Escapists fired some top people, Yahtzee and a bunch of other people left to start Second Win, and they just made new versions of their shows.
But how do you, like, I understand that, like, okay, so it's like, I'm trying to think of other, okay, like, let's take Machinima, right? Machinima was in a very similar situation. They had a parent company that ultimately owned them, and then the parent company kind of dwindled away, and then Machinima as a whole. Now, I could be wrong on this. You probably know better than I, but I'm pretty sure Machinima ended up, like, closing its doors. Like, the production team Machinima is gone, and most of the content that was around with it, which is really what bothered a lot of people, is that it's not like they just closed it. They took the content off of YouTube, which pissed a lot of people off because you couldn't even go back and look at people's work from the last 10 years. So, like, I'm really hoping it's not in that same direction. But like, even a lot of the Machinima people had a problem like redeveloping themselves, because like, how do you pull your audience from something when they were looking at one channel for everything, and now you're trying to advertise yourself in a way that the YouTube algorithm understands to like pull itself, away.
I'm just gonna look at something real quick. I think the Screw Attack YouTube channel still exists and still has content on it.
Thank God.
I think it does.
Also, hi Arrows, thank you.
It's just labeled Death Battle now.
Death Battle.
Obviously because it's Death Battle.
Single-handedly keeping a lot of the Team 4-star guys employed.
Yeah, well, they've been working on their own stuff too, right?
Oh yeah, no, and honestly, I really appreciate that they're finally starting to like work into their own content. Although I didn't realize this, I follow a couple, a few of them. Like we both, because of you guys, I have now met. I say met. I haven't physically touched, like, the shook in their hand or anything, but like I have spoken to a few of them, and it was weird that like I don't know if you saw, Moscow had a baby.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, Moscow had a baby, which congrats to them.
Yeah, congratulations.
But then, like, apparently, oh man, I'm not first name basis with them, which is weird to speak to someone about like via their username. But like, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Oh my gosh, I know this. Lanny. Lenny didn't know. So like, he found out through Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, you work together still. How did that not come up in conversation?
I mean, I don't think they live in the same area, because I know that.
Oh no, they had that Texas house that they all lived in at one point.
Because I'm pretty sure.
And then I think they moved.
I don't think Takahata, who recently followed me on Twitter. He'd never followed me on Twitter, which was weird. I'm pretty sure he still lives in Canada, like I do. So I'm not.
So I don't think he moved. Because I remember when they were doing the first episodes of their podcast before they started reviewing the entirety of DBZ Abridged. they were all in the same space because they were like reading and writing. I think they wrote most of the Cell Saga in the same area. And then I think after that, they were just kind of like, all right, I don't know what we're doing. Oh, I'm sorry. The last major project that I know that they worked on was Final Fantasy VII Machinima Abridged. Machine Abridged, I think is what they call it. But either way, like I remember that being the last big thing because they had it and Antfish and everybody on there. And then they moved on from that. So I don't know if they were in the area full time or just working on that. But I remember like seeing the photos of them together. So I don't know.
Yeah. They'll go down for projects. Like I know Curtis went down there to be part of some of the reaction to episodes things they did.
Yeah, and I think they're still doing cons too, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's
they're still making content. Like their big thing right now is they did the Boo shorts. And
those
then
were
they
so
did,
good. And of course,
they were really good,
But again, it just fueled the fire of it would be really cool if he just did the series.
Well, I mean,
but I get it. It's like it's hard and like out of respect, and especially with all the pushback they had. And
the Boo saga is super long too, and you could cut a lot of that out, and they kind of did that with the shorts. That was probably the easiest way to do it. But it's just there's so much of it, and it's like the most like bloated saga of Dragon Ball Z. So
I mean that's like almost as much as like the Return to Earth Goku tournament saga, where it's just like the world's longest filler.
I also do want to say like they have that HFIL series they do that's like a CG one about with Cell and Frieza and all them, which this is their main thing I think they do now. So that's one thing that I think is neat, that they found creative ways to break out of that abridged series mold, which how I did that is I just went and did other content.
I think I'm just going to do something else now. Well, I'd also like to point out that it's crazy to me, and I know that they have like made it very well known that the entire reason that their channel exists is because of a one-off joke that TFS did. Do you know who Devil Artemis is?
That sounds familiar.
They did the Cell Games videos right after Team 4-Star did the like Bobby Hill versus Cell and Yami Yugi versus, like they did all these things, and then they just took that concept and expanded on it, and now they have the entire they have probably over 200 hours of content of just Cell doing things.
Yeah.
And it actually like the budget went from like good video edits to like full CG rendered fight scenes.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, and like they poke fun at it, but like Kagi, who we both know, is a part of that. Like he plays Kermit the Frog pretty consistently.
Oh, he's Kermit on that. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, now Kagi's like doing like real stuff.
Alejandro is killing it these days, man. He is all over it.
I actually recently is just speaking. We'll go back to the main topic in a second, but I saw that. I didn't realize. Okay, so I was sponsored by Honkai Star Rail.
Yeah.
And I was playing it, and fucking Howard's in Honkai Star Rail.
That's awesome.
I'm like, what? And apparently Howard is Howard's become apparently a really big voice actor, which good for him.
It's finally paying off.
Better than the days of making dick jokes. But yeah, no, I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize it was until I looked it up. I'm like, oh my god, that's fucking Howard. Or maybe he's in Genshin. He's in one of those two. I know he's in one of the big.
Because I'm
pretty sure he's in Honkai. I'm pretty sure it's Honkai he's in.
Because the only reason I know about Honkai Star Rail is because Trash Taste and all three of the Trash Taste guys are in it. Because I follow Sea-Dog like on pretty much everything I can.
It's funny.
Of course, he was going to absolutely let the world know that he was in that the moment he could.
And it's funny because out of the three of them, the one with VA in his name is the one who acts the best. You can tell
the one with actual voice acting.
And my thought is like, Giguk, you used to do abridged stuff. You know how to act. Why is your acting in this game so awkward?
It's so bad. It's not bad. I don't mean to say it's bad that Giguk's bad, because like Joey's in the same boat. Like it just feels like they're reading it. But that's also
not bad,
partially. And you've been there because I know that you've worked with amateurs, because we've both been on. Shout out to BTVA because it's gone now.
God.
And then CCC, all those great, or the forums, like the the bridge forums for voice acting casting. We've both worked with people who have a lot of talent but need direction, or their talent is good.
Yeah. And let me preface by saying it's not bad, but it's definitely different quality compared to compared to Connor, who's probably who it's not fair. He's done actual anime and stuff.
Well, the other side too
I
is
guess
like
Joey,
they're in
I guess
Japan,
Joey has,
which is
but like it's as English guy. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
and English being English guy in Japanese directed anime,
Anime, which
it
is
doesn't matter.
wholly because like again, like even if you take the same content, and there's a couple of guys who have done some really cool deep dives on this, where they're like, very rarely will you see the original concept show voice cast directed by the same person on the English rendition as well. It's almost non-existent. So when you do have that happen, and I think there was a couple of games that had that with really big involvement, they try to direct the same way, and the connotation of how English to Japanese comes off, the inflections, the expression, it doesn't match up the same way. Like just in context, like being like you stubbed your toe, where do you put the enunciation of the pain in the sentence? Like, well, in one way it's in the beginning, the other way it's at the end. So the acting comes off weird when you're, in an all non-English speaking country, like being
Exactly.
directed on what to do.
Exactly. So I'm just going to bring us all the way back because we've gone way off
Yeah,
the
it's
rails of the original
tangent
topic.
life.
We both do it. You guys are gonna have to get used to that. So getting back to the main topic, the Rooster Teeth stuff. So, yeah, I think it is what you're right. It is possible that stuff like Death Battle could have a chance to survive on its own, or again, do the second win thing where like zero punctuation it was just rebranded into Totally Rambunctious or whatever the name of it's called. And it's the same thing essentially. It's different, but it's the same thing. And so I've actually been watching a lot of Second Wind stuff, like Cold Take and other things. So, and I don't like Death Battle can probably get away with buying its name and then just existing as the YouTube channel because again, you're right. It's so far disconnected from the Rooster Teeth stuff that it's not a big thing. But it's also like if they can't, again, I gotta pour one out for Screw Attack because this is like that was the last Screw Attack show that survived. When Rooster Teeth bought Screw Attack, they basically discontinued all the stuff except Death Battle, and it solely became Death Battle. And I like Death Battle, but it's not my favorite thing they ever produced, and I don't keep up with it really as much as other people do. People will ask me all the time, "Do you see this Death Battle?" And be like, "No, I didn't even know that was a thing." Like I don't.
Facts.
It's like I like it. I like the show. I think it's good, but it's not like I'm not like up to date with it or anything like that.
Well, there's also like, let's be honest, it's such a niche category of entertainment because it's really hard to make yourself be like, I want to watch all of these. When like half the characters that they're bringing on nowadays, I don't even know who the hell they are. So I'm like, cool. I now know the full backstory of Squiggle, the guy from this one TV show that I've never heard of.
Yeah, that's what's great about it too. It's very informative, which is something that I really enjoy. But
Let's be honest, Death Battle was History Channel for anime nerds.
pretty much. Well, and then Did You Know Gaming's like that for gamers.
Yeah, God, I love Did You Know, man. Good luck to those guys.
But just going back, like, and I'm gonna be taking people way back. They'll, I already get called an old man all the time, anyways. But it's just remembering just the stuff that Screw Attack was back then, because how I got into it is a friend of mine. I was in college, my first year of college. This would have been 2006. I know I'm an old man. Almost 20 years ago. Fuck.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah. And a friend of mine told me about this new YouTube show, Angry Nintendo Nerd, which we all know now as the AVGN. I think he was up to his Ninja Turtles episode because that's the first one I watched. And then I watched it and I'm like, oh, okay. And I went back and I watched all these and I realized this is really cool. And then I realized, oh, they're affiliated with this website, Screw Attack. So I went there and they had all their own content too. Like some of my earliest content is like video game vaults that I made for Screw Attack Canada. Like stuff like that. I did a top 10 Mega Man games, which I don't agree with anymore. And I want to redo at some point because this 2006, 2007 me, different opinion than 2024 me.
And that's fine because that's called growth. So you're fine.
I had the stupid thing where I'm like, oh, only one or two games per franchise in the the Mega Man series. Like it's stupid. Instead of just choosing what I wanted. But But yeah, no, that's how I got my start. And they featured some of those videos on the front page. And that was the first time I ever got, featured on a website for my content. My content got seen by people. And it never was a ton of views. But, like, just the fact that they, like, liked it enough to put it on their front page, even if they didn't agree with it. Like, I know the Mega Man 10, or sorry, not Mega Man 10, the Mega Man Top 10, they didn't agree with. They admitted to, but they said, but check it out and form your own opinion is basically what they said. Just open...
You can't ask for more than that, honestly.
It's good thing the game trailers... the game trailers comment section is gone, because that comment section, oh my god, that video had like 50,000 views, and like every single comment was negative, every single one. And if you remember 2006 internet, you could probably imagine the type of things people were writing. So
you kiss your mother with that mouth.
But yeah, no, that's really how I got my start. That was my first big video like that took off, and 50,000 views on game trailers was nothing to like shake a stick at. Like, that was a lot back then. And so that's when I sort of got my start making video content. And then, of course, I moved over to abridging for a while, and then switched back over to doing reviews and do Let's Plays and stream. And now I'm a cat boy. That's just the natural progression of things. How things have changed. That's just the natural progression of things.
The progression from, what was it, nerdy angry gamer to cat.
Nerdy angry gamer. I have new ones coming out of that, by the way.
I'm actually I took like, I'm not kidding, I took like a massive deep dive through your content one day, and I was just all right, what who why is Zero, like,
oh no.
And I was like halfway through I was like, I feel like I know so much.
Even if you don't get all the inside jokes that nobody will get.
There's so much I miss. I'm going to be honest with you. There's jokes, because I'm also not Canadian, which doesn't help. So it's just like, I feel like sometimes I'm like, I'm lost. I need a guide. Someone please help.
I've actually had a couple of people tell me that they like that at the start of my streams I play my reviews for people. They like that they can see like content abide from the years.
It's cool.
One person told me they go through the playlist and they sleep to it, and I'm like, that's kind of weird to me, but you know what? I'm here for it.
Okay, so I saw that. Does the name Ryan George mean anything to you?
No.
Okay, they have a channel. They're also Canadian. They have a channel called Screen Rant, or they were a part of Screen Rant, and then they became the pitch meeting guy, which is the guy that like, oh, I heard you have a movie for me, and then he does like a, parasocial take on what's going on, but like a whole thing, because like somebody on a comment section of his recently that responded to was like, yeah, I put your video on in the background and then I fall asleep. And he's like, and at first I was like, ew, that's weird, why would you do that? And he's like, but then I realized like I fall asleep to The Office and I love that show. So
I mean,
kind of the same thing.
My partner falls asleep to Star Trek TNG, so I can't blame them. And you know what, I'm like I didn't think it was weird. I was like, huh, like somebody uses my content for that. That's interesting. Even though like I yell and scream in some of the videos, and it's not made. And
it's not even ASMR. It's not like you were like, in today's Mega Man, this is what we're.
I thought of making mega compilations of some of my old reviews that are all of the same series, and putting that up in case people want to like use that instead of going through an entire playlist. But I have to figure out which ones I could do. But
somebody made a joke once, and I would love to see. And if you could pull it off, I'd love to see it happen. Somebody once said you should repost an old video, but redub it completely using a completely different script, so that there's two of the same video out there.
Okay, so
different versions.
So do my own Man in Cave, I guess.
Yeah, just to throw people off, because we'd be like, "Yo, did you watch this video?" And be like, "Yeah," but they don't realize they shared the other one. So then the person's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. They hate this game."
and yeah, and by the way, poor taste joke, but Man in Cave, but without all the plagiarism.
Dang, shots fired.
Oh my god. I could talk about H-Bomber Guy all day and that stuff, because he covers some of the stuff that I was following, which is good too. But anyways, back on track.
Well,
so that was my experience. That was my experience with Screw Attack, and I got to meet the two people who are behind Death Battle.
Wizard and Boomstick.
Well, yeah, Wizard and Boom, but they're actual.
Yeah, they're not weird persona.
Chad and.
We're old enough to remember what Wizard and Boomstick was before they had animated personas. Like, we remember it was just two voices.
But, like, and that's my thing. Like, Death Battle was just a thing Screw Attack did. Like, they had so much good content that they would always try things, and it wouldn't always stick to the wall. It wouldn't always stick, but they would keep trying things. And it's just funny that Death Battle became the thing that they are now known for, and it's like one of their like 50th series they came up with, of all things. And it's just sad now that if Death Battle's gone, that means it's completely gone, and I'm sad. I hope that Chad and the rest of the people who are involved with that can find another find their own content to make, or something else, or if Death Battle is truly dead and they can't get the rights for it, or if they are able to get the rights, they can keep trucking on with it. The thing that makes me very surprised is I know that Rooster Teeth still had some successful stuff. Like, I don't watch it, but I understand that Ruby was like one of their big money makers.
Oh yeah,
like
on the article that I have pulled up, it literally states, and I quote, including the well-received anime-style series Ruby, out of all of the things Rooster Teeth has done. And again, Rooster Teeth, the origin of Red vs. Blue, which had an HD release on Netflix, of all places. And they're still only talking about Ruby because it's all people care about.
You could buy Red vs. Blue on DVD, like in the
that's how,
early.
It's a Halo
2010s.
mod. It is literally like a mod for Halo that you could watch.
But I mean, Red vs. Blue was the antithesis of Machinima. Like, Machinima existed, but like they were the biggest.
What was? Oh, come on, we've talked about this before. Who's another one that used to do this? Lyle, and what's his name?
Oh, you're talking about Sanity Not Included?
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I'm so sad that that's mostly
machinima.
gone. I'm so sad that that's mostly gone. Like, I like...
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was mainly just into the animations, because those were fucking hilarious.
I was into the whole show. I thought it was great. It was... It's funny, because even when I was watching it, I'm like... Even back then, I was like, this is cringe. Like, I knew that it wasn't
it was bad,
good. But
it was so
like,
funny.
It was bad, but like, it was... I still enjoyed it.
It was of the
like
times. It's in the same vein as like Filthy Frank was at its heyday. Genuine. Oh man, you know what's crazy is that Lyle has like matured past his persona. He's no longer Lyle McDouchebag. It's just Lyle now. Like, they took all the cringe out of it.
Yeah, and because first he was Guitar Master X7 or something like
Jesus
that.
Christ.
And I remember he used to do guitar videos. I mostly know him now from Oni Plays, to be honest.
Really? I didn't know. Okay, that's actually news to me.
Because he's cool. He's a regular guest on Oni Plays. Like, he's not one of the main people, but he's on all.
But still, like, what a weird. Because we know Oni, don't we? Like, that's a person that regularly is in your Discord, or used to be. Yeah.
No.
Like, no. Okay, so who am I thinking of?
You might be thinking of Oni Rokaku, who's a completely different person.
Okay. God, there's so many similar names. I'm so bad at this. It's just weird because like the space feels so massive, right? Like, and this is something that, and I mention this every time we talk, and I mention this with Jordan, I mention this with Josh and all that. I'm so starstruck every time I hang out with you guys because literally my entire childhood, because I got into the internet way late, was based off of you guys' content. Like, every inside joke I had with my friends was based off of something I watched you guys do. And
it's so crazy to me hearing that, because I remember Jordan telling me, Ozzy Jordan, we're talking about Excalibur, for those of you who don't know, telling me that he used to download K Unabridged on his iPod to watch at school. And I'm like, there's a generation of kids who grew up with content I made that was their childhood, and I'm not used to that.
Like, I mean, it's like when I met Little Karibo in person, and I was like, I don't know if you've probably heard this 1,000 times, but like, if you take anything I'm about to say away from you, just know my entire humor is based upon your video. Like, it's just a thing, because it's crazy. Because like, I was down in, I would stab someone for that opportunity to listen.
Please to that. Please don't kill someone.
No. But like Yu-Gi-Oh! The Bridge series was a big one. I used to watch. Do you remember Ask a Ninja?
Oh my God, I remember Ask a Ninja. I love Ask a Ninja.
A lot of Ask a Ninja.
That's where I get one of my favorite jokes. One of my favorite jokes. I always ask people. I ask people. I'm like, what is circumference of a moose? Do you know the answer?
I don't off the top of my head.
It's Michael Palin's face in a pie times Douglas Adams squared.
Oh, dear God. Every time I think of it, it's the it's like you throw a bait and you put a snake in with the crib, and if the baby stops the snake, then you know it's a ninja. And if it's not, then it's a little not ninja baby, and then you throw it like it's like the whole rant on like ninja children and how they're born. I used to, because you could get that on Apple Podcast, and you could download the vodcasts like on your. So it would just be like lots of Ask Ninja and dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm. God, we could reminisce forever about old internet, and that's really the thing, because Rooster Teeth was one of those like
the OGs.
Old
honestly,
guard. They're one of those old guards. Like, and it's funny because like people will see like they'll call somebody who started in like 2012 an OG, and I'm like, that's not an OG.
No, OG
like an
is
OG
like Kasim G.
is like,
we were talking about them the other
like
day.
Yeah, Kasim G. Like Jax Films is still around. He's an OG. I consider him an OG. Man. Like
rip to the. Oh my God, we could go into a full tangent about content creators and how they've either fallen off or like okay, talk about Matt Pat officially stepping away from the platform, and even they are like Gen 2 of YouTube. They're not even Gen 1 YouTubers. Like all the big ones like Mark Pewds, Matt Pat, those are all Gen 2 YouTubers. Like honestly.
I'm like Gen 3 of abridging. Like people ask you they're like, oh, they're like, you're an OG. I'm like, no, I'm like 3rd gen. Like you guys have no idea. Like it's like,
God, and what's crazy is like
crazy thing.
It's still okay. So like it, and again, you being in the like Olympus of abridging.
Sorry,
honestly,
I don't mean to cut you off, but like in the chat, Blonde Guy Gamer's in there. He's like one of the people who was around when like people like Urinating Tree and all these other reviewers were around. Like Blondie, not to embarrass you, but like this like it's so crazy to think that like I'll watch a video and like people talking about like reviewers from the past. They'll talk about like Armake, AVGN, like Spoonie, those kind of people, and just randomly they'll also mention Blondie, and they'll usually get his name wrong. Like I watched a video. This guy made this like hour-long video about game reviewers, and he mentioned Blondie, and he said his name wrong. He's like Blonde Gamer. I'm like, but he showed a screenshot of his channel. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I always forget that happens.
His name's literally in the channel. How did you miss it?
I know. It's I don't know how you miss it, but I guess it's just people, I don't know, auto-correcting their shit. Because I've made mistakes too, where I show something on the screen, I say the wrong thing. But no, it's just weird to think that like that people consider me of this era of people who are content creators who are up and coming, and I think I'm still up and coming because I like.
I'm 12 years in, but I'm still hitting the scene. You know,
I'm getting close to year 20, and I haven't gotten my big break yet. So when it happens, I'll let you all know. But
you're still playing semi-pros. It's fine. You're still
semi-pros.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like, if the big break never happens, it's fine. This is my hobby, and you know, it does make me money on the side sometimes, but it's really a hobby for me. And when I had to stop doing this because I had a move that was stretched out by a month, I was like, I'm going to take a break. I'm not going to do anything. I think I lasted a week, and I'm like, I need to stream again because I don't know what to do.
Creation.
Well,
it's a weird experience.
If I ever retire from content creation, as weird as that sounds, I think I would just spend most of my time playing games and watching movies, like watching my big like
you're doing the exact same thing you would be doing anyway, just without the camera being
well, it's like, yeah, like without and I think the thing too is like content motivates me to do a lot of the things that I like. Like I still I've tried to play games when I'm not streaming or recording videos. Like I have I'm playing Pokemon Brown right now. That's what I'm playing when I'm not streaming. And technically you could say that I'm playing Honkai Star Rail, but I do stream that once in a while. So, but I'm playing that on my own, stuff like that. I'm finding stuff to do. Like I watched, just this past weekend, a friend of mine, I said I'd never seen the Dark Knight trilogy, because even when it was new, I didn't really care for it. I also had this notion that Batman Begins was bad, so I just avoided this trilogy for a long time. Friend bought it on Blu-ray, one, because he didn't own it on Blu-ray and he wanted it, and two, just to lend it to me. And I've now watched Batman Begins, and I'm like, I don't know why I avoided this. This movie's fantastic, and on top of that, I watched the behind the scenes because I'm a behind the scenes person. The amount of effort they put to not use green screen in that movie, to like make as much practical stuff as they possibly could, is like it's amazing, because that was the start of the era of let's just shoot everything green screen. Like when those movies were
that was
coming out.
Right there at the cusp of like.
But they were like, no,
and
we're gonna build as much of it as we can. Yeah, they're like, we're gonna build as much of this real as we can. Like the Gotham set is just in this giant like aerospace building that
Oh
they
yeah,
were
no,
like,
there's part, and then like
it's
huge
huge.
chunks of actual Chicago, just like
Yeah,
actual Chicago
yeah,
scenes.
like they built this huge set, and I have to give it to him. Like, Batman's not my favorite hero, or by any means. Like DC, I don't really care too much about them. But when I do, it's Batman or Aquaman or Wonder Woman or someone of those kind. So like just seeing that they built all this stuff practically, and like there was the only things they green screened was stuff like the monorail fight, because there's no way they could have shot that. If they did, it would have been super expensive. And so that's the only time I see them use green screen. The rest of the movie seems to mostly be like live action stuff. Like when freaking what's his name?
Christian Bale.
When Christian Bale had to climb that fucking mountain to get to do his ninja training, he climbed the fucking mountain. They showed them doing it. They picked the day of doing it and everything. It's just so neat that like these movies are like that they, in an era where people were switching over to digital, they use digital effects, but in an era where people were switching over to it, they built as much practical stuff as they could, and that's what I appreciate.
That was pre super old Liam Neeson as well.
And that's why I'm like, I just watched this movie because I'd never watched it. And I finally watched it, and I realized this is my kind of movie, and I just avoided it because I heard it was bad. Like, and so I've tried to stop doing that, to just watch stuff that I missed out on, because it might be right up my alley. And it turns out Batman Begins was right up my alley. Ironically, a lot of the people who were saying it was bad were internet reviewers at the time that I believed. So, because
it happens like that.
It came out like that movie came out 2007, 2008, I think. Because Dark Knight, I'm pretty sure came out in 2009. I'm pretty sure that one did.
Look, even today I found out I was bad at guessing, because I thought War of the Worlds came out in 2010. It turns out it came out in 2005. And here's one to blow your mind, genuinely. Jurassic Park 3 came out in 2001.
Yep.
Like,
my favorite Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah, God, I love Alan Grant. He's such a good character.
But yeah, no, like it's just insane to think about these things. Begins was 2006. Okay, yeah, I remember, because like I know the Nostalgia Critic talked about it, but there were other people who talked about it, and they were all like, "It's bad," and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not." Well,
it was just different, because you got to remember, we came off of like 4 different Batman who were all like campy and over the top and had these weird.
But I love, like, I don't like, what's his name?
Michael Keaton.
No. The guy the director.
Oh, Zack Snyder.
No, not Zack Snyder. No,
Tim Burton.
I don't like Tim Burton. I think he's pretentious and cringy, but I love the Batman movies he did. I love those movies. I also like Beetlejuice. Ironically, I like the stuff he did with Michael Keaton. But I don't like any of the stuff he did after that. I don't like Edward Scissorhands.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't a big Edward Scissorhands fan, because it was just not my type of. Like, I like Johnny Depp as much as the next guy, but I don't think everything he's ever been in has been. We're gonna get canceled right off the internet for this. I just want to point out. I think there was good movies, and I think there's bad movies. I don't hold anyone to a pedestal of everything they've ever made was good or everything they've ever made was bad. Like, honestly, so.
Blondie, I know you're right that it's 2005, because one of the special features on the Batman Begins Blu-ray is the Jimmy Fallon MTV Movie Awards thing that included Batman, and he was using a flip phone and then using a sidekick. And I know that those were popular in that era, like the pre-iPhone era. So
I had a chocolate just to throw that back.
But just like,
oh, that's what it is, Christopher Nolan.
And
sorry,
I know,
Zack Snyder.
I know that we're, we went off on on a big tangent, but that's the whole point is that this is stuff that we technically grew up with. I was like 17, 18 when I discovered like Screw Attack and internet stuff, and that's when I started getting into content creation. Like
my internet experiences were because my other friends had internet and our house didn't. So they'd be like, "Hey, watch this dumb stuff I found," and I'd be like, "Man, I don't even have an opinion because I can't look for it myself."
Like, and there's other stuff, like I stopped I saw for a long time. I used to like speaking of OGs. I used to watch Smosh a lot. I stopped watching them for a while, and now I started watching them again and realized that they've reinvented their content. And I'm just
Oh
like,
yeah, and they're all back together now.
yeah, and like Anthony's back, and they bought
Where's
their company
Anthony?
back. Yeah, that was and it's funny because like my favorite person on fucking my favorite character on Smosh is the Chosen, like a character who's one of the new cast. So
Genuinely,
you
that
must be
blonde
the new
guy, and I
kid.
should know his name, but genuinely, he is one of the funniest people to come out. There's like
He's fucking hilarious.
two of the new Smosh guys are genuinely funny, and what's crazy is that they're making it like an actual name for themselves in television and games and stuff.
Hmm.
One of the guys was in Starfield, which
Yeah,
just blows my mind.
it's crazy. Um,
What a time to
and
be alive.
but yeah, it's just like sometimes, and it's the thing is like some of these things have lasted so long. We've watched them become onto their own into new things, and innovate. And then now,
Mhm.
what the Rooster Teeth thing just shows is a lot of this stuff is just gone now. Like there's an
See,
era
isn't that
of
the
internet
double-edged
that's like
sword
gone.
of the internet, though? Like, let's be honest. Like, there's a
Like we're
lot of people who catch their stride, and then they become
Mhm.
big, and then you see them kind of get to like either, like again, Matt Pat, kind of right off into the sunset because they've kind of accomplished what they want to accomplish, and they didn't really have any problems, and then now they can kind of like
And
be the family
he
person
ended
they
on
want to
a
be.
yeah, he ended on a high note, which is
And
like
then and then
even
you
though I
have
don't
people,
sorry.
like Rooster Teeth. No, you're fine. It's like people like Rooster Teeth, where it's like the choice was made for them. Continuous
Mhm.
bad business deals, a lot of scandals because you put that much chaotic energy in one place. There's bound to be a couple immature people that make some problems for everybody. Because I don't
Mhm.
think, as a whole, like I don't think they're like Blizzard levels of bad, but like
No.
I can understand that, like when you take, especially, and let's be honest, especially with old school internet users, like there was a level of filtering that was just non-existent.
Mhm.
And you put all that, you know, old school thinking and dark humor and stuff like that into one place, you're gonna rub someone the wrong way, especially when you
Yeah.
start hiring new staff from generations of people that aren't that.
I
And
mean, there's some old
you know,
college humor shit that I like that I found funny back in the day, but like is not, you know, is would not fly today. But there's something I just want to mention real quick about that. So I I used to like my favorite comedian used to be Dave Chappelle. And I say used to because what I really learned is that he was always a piece of shit, like no matter what. But back when he did his TV show, um I was into like against establishment. I was a punk rock kid. Like I was like I had a tall mohawk. I wore combat boots to I went to a Catholic high school, so I had to wear a uniform. So I
oh
tried
man,
to beat that up as much as I could. Like I wanted to rebel, and Dave Chappelle back then he rebelled in the best way he could, which is used his comedy. But as time has gone on, I've realized, oh, he's just a shitty person. And I used to think it was punk rock and badass what he used to do, but he was just a shitty person who would use race to get to fuel his stuff. Even that being said, my roommate and I popped on old episodes of the Chappelle Show, and I was still nostalgic for it because I put myself back in that time of when that show was new, and I watched it. Like as much as I don't identify with it at all anymore, putting on an episode of that and watching it is interesting because it makes me feel back to that time I was at. And just again to preface, I don't like Dave Chappelle anymore. I think he's a I think he's a piece of shit. Um, Especially the turf stuff, which I'm not going to get into. But but there's something about that that feeling you get from watching an old show or watching an old piece of content that can never be taken away from you. And the ironic thing is, like you said, is with a lot of this stuff being on the internet, how much of it's not available anymore.
mm.
Like if people didn't download it or archive it themselves, which a lot of people have, it's gone. Another perfect example of that, Air Abridged is gone. It wasn't archived. And that was one of my favorite abridged parodies. And I've told Soda this multiple times. Like Soda, who was the person who was in charge of that series and edited it. But it's gone. And he's talked about, maybe redoing it and whatever, but like that guy's
It's not the
all over the
same though.
place. It won't be the same, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
And
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 that's
and
and
so yeah.
it's hard to do that because again, like there's a lot of content out there that even the creator like kind of grows up and goes like, "Hey guys, I was a different person at this time. It's not really appropriate anymore. You know, like vernaculars have changed. Jokes don't make me feel good like they did back at it's a hard time, you know? Like there's a lot of different stuff that happens with all that going on. And it's a weird thing because like and I think maybe you've struggled with the duality of this. There's a point of maturity where you realize that certain things just aren't funny.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, like there are a lot of things that people are like, "Oh, this isn't funny," and you're like, "No, it kind of is. Like there has to be some humor in this, or like we're not people anymore."
And that's the thing too. Like I say to people, like if people want to go find my old abridged stuff, they're welcome to. But I just preface that was me, like early 2000s, early 2010s, closeted. Like it was a lot of things that I was at that point. That is not me now. The me now is completely different from the me back then. And I don't like hate that content, but it's because it's a part of who I was at that time, but it's not who I am now. And
Right.
like that's why I'm like I used to worry all the time about being canceled. Like somebody will find one of those old videos and be like, "Look, he said this word that you can't say anymore." But I'm like, that was almost 20 years ago, and things were different.
Okay, but
then.
see, to logical people, that makes sense. But like,
Yeah.
the people that go after people like that aren't being logical in that
And
sense.
I don't think I said anything bad, anyways. But just
Well,
to
see,
say,
that's where you're wrong, Bucko. Because if you can see episode 7, at the 12-minute 15-second mark, you actually said that a group of should probably go, and you should
yeah,
reflect.
no. No, it's I think Tree MX is the worst thing I did, and I still had that character voiced by a black guy, so I don't think it's a bad time. If I had done it, it would have been really bad. But no, I didn't do anything like that. So, but yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, people we've all like we remember those times, and we've moved on from those things, and I guess the truth is nothing lasts forever. Eventually, something you love and cherish and see, even if it's just an online thing on YouTube or Twitch or anything, will go. Hell, I see friends of mine in the VTuber community graduate all the time. If you don't know what graduating means in the VTuber community, that basically means you're done. You stop all your, you are not doing anything with your VTuber character or even content creation at all anymore. And I know that someday, I call it retiring. Like maybe one day, who knows? Like I've changed my content up so much that maybe one day I'll decide the VTuber thing isn't working anymore, and I'll just retire that and I'll go do something else. But the day that I actually do retire, I want to make sure the content that I'm proud of is available. And so,
Do you mind if I ask a weird question about that though? But like
Sure.
genuinely, this might be a question other people have had. Having watched your content before and after, I'm going to refer to it as the transformation.
Okay.
Do you feel different about how you make content now? Like, do you feel like a positive change? Do you think it's helped your content? Do you think or do you think this was just like a comfort thing, or like how do you feel like it helped develop you? And do you think it was in a way that you thought you'd go?
Well, I never thought about the VTuber thing. I remember, um, like again, old man Zero getting up on a soapbox. I remember when the first VTuber stuff was available, and this was stuff like Keys in an Eye, and I was like, "That's super cool that somebody can do that. They can have a character, whatever." But that has to be fucking expensive, and it was. I never saw myself doing anything like that because I was like, can't afford thousands of dollars worth of equipment, my own studio to capture all that. And keep in mind, I watch behind the scenes stuff on DVDs all the time. I know how expensive motion capture is. So I was like, there's
watch
no
a
way.
old digital video.
Yeah, like there's no way I'd be able to do it. And yet here I am using like my iPhone to capture my face because it's now good enough to like capture stuff and using a monitor and becoming a model and becoming a VTuber. And to answer your question, I think it was a positive look at my content because, I mean, for me specifically in 2020, when I switched over to the VTuber stuff, like that's also when I came out, and that's why I see it as a positive thing because now I don't have to hide all these things about me anymore. Like I remember watching like the video exposés on Linkara. Like I think Mr. Medicare did one on Linkara talking about all like the porn stuff he was like into, and I'm like, man, that stuff is crazy. I hope nobody ever finds that stuff on me. And here I am talking about it publicly. So it's one of those things, like I was so closeted, I was so worried that people were going to find this and then judge me for like being into certain things. And now I find out it's like I'm public about it and I don't care. In fact, I use it to profit from time to time myself. And it, you know, I'm more comfortable with it because I'm like, I no longer have to hide this part of myself. And for those of you who don't know, like, because I don't think I've talked about this a ton on my other channel, which is going to go on to, like, I came out in 2020 as gender fluid and pansexual. And what that means is, like, I had suppressed my feminine side for so long because as a cisgendered male, white male as I was, you can't do anything feminine because that's gay, bro. You know what I mean? That's like, that's what it is. And as it turns out, yeah, I guess I'm pretty gay, aren't I? Like, and so, like,
don't say that, you'll only feed into them.
and not,
they were right all along.
I mean, they were. And so
it's on the alarm.
Feeling like I don't have to hide that part of myself anymore, is so, I struggle to pick a better word, but liberating, I guess. Like, I don't feel like I have to, separate the who I am publicly with the who I am myself. I can just whatever. Like, and it's allowed me to explore more of that side of myself that I never would have. Like, self-proclaimed femboy here. Like, like, I don't know what's more gayer than that. So,
well, I mean, there's an entire website dedicated to things that are probably gayer than that. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But that's the thing. Like I was so afraid that people would think that I'm gay, and now that I'm out and I express that I am,
and now you're like, I hope that you think that I'm gay.
Like, it's so much more. I feel so much more free, I guess. I don't feel like I have to, like, be shackled by like wanting to put up having to put up a front because people won't understand. And so that's one of the reasons why, like, I won't say too much about the VTuber community now because it has become a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Oh gosh, it's commercialized. Let's just be honest. It's like the VTuber community is kind of like Walmart now. So
when I joined it, it was such a comforting and warm community that I felt comfortable enough to come out, and that I think that's only helped my content because now I don't feel like I have to be awkward on things. Just leave the words.
Thanks, Blonde Guy. I appreciate that. It is very appreciated that that you will.
I think it's funny.
You'll take
now
the mantle of responsibility from that.
We'll do like a collab, and it'll be me and One Roll and Blondie will be the odd one out because he's the cisgendered white male.
One of these dudes is not like the.
At least we're both blonde, so there's that.
Everybody blonde, everybody doing it.
But no, yeah, like I think it's only helped my content because now it like I'm not being restricted by like what I think is going to be socially acceptable. I just do whatever I want, and so.
To the restraints of what Twitch guidelines allow.
Yeah, as long as it's TOS. Twitch, I'm wearing a shirt.
There is a shirt being worn. That is correct.
There is no exposed male nipple on this channel.
There is none. There is not. Well, see, that's the thing though. But at what point? And I mean this. And if this is too much, then just wave your hands around crazy and I'll stop. At what point does a chest become shapely enough to not be considered appropriate to not have a shirt on television?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's
what I'm saying. Because like if I myself had like D cups, is that inappropriate? Because I'm definitely a dude.
Yeah, but they would tell you to cover them up probably.
Right, but if I had pecs, it's fine. What's this double standard?
Yeah, I don't know. It's. That's a whole nother topic we can talk about another time.
What is that? What does that Mr. Incredible mean? Nipple is nipple.
we get, yeah, like I said. One more question I want to ask before we move on to the next topic is
Yeah.
that I want to ask to you, and I'll answer as well. What do you think the future of this content is going to be now that we have, we're at an era where some of it is just gone. Like how much stuff do you think that you watch now is not going to be available in 5 to 10 years?
That's an incredibly tricky question to answer because, like, how much of the content you watch now is being actively or is actively dwindling down? Right. Let's take another one. So we've reviewed some OGs. Right. We've talked about some OGs, at least in I'd say the first 3 major generations of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Kasim G. Kasim G
Mm-hmm.
was an first gen on the platform, actually making content that wasn't just uploaded like photos from a hand camera.
Mm-hmm.
With guys like that, he was part of the Epic Rap Battle crew, and they're still going. They're Gen 2 in my opinion, but like they were part of it. They maybe have put out a video in like 4 years, like. And like they still talk and they still have a Patreon and all that stuff, but like things like that, like actively stopping content, like what's his name, the English guy that I should know the name of, but he retired. He's done every daily uploads or weekly uploads for 10 straight years is an incredible amount of time. 4 weeks in a month times 12 times 10. That's a lot of videos. And that's a lot of consistent videos of the same quality over a long period of time. So it's not just a question of like who does it, but then you also have to take into the space of some of these YouTube channels aren't owned by themselves. Like you have a face, you have a person. Like let's take your channel for instance, right? If you keep putting up content, do you have any intent at any point in your life to remove your content from YouTube at any point if it's going to stay? Like they're just like, yep, it can be there forever. Do you ever intend to take it off when you retire?
I don't think so.
Right.
My intention is to I want to keep up 90% of it. Some of it I might take down because I just, it's just not, I just don't want it associated with me anymore. But my idea is to keep most of it available. Like,
Right.
if I, like, my hope is when I pass away that my content will still be available. So people who want to watch it can watch it. But I know that's a pretty dire thing to say, but I've something I thought about a lot, and I'm like, I don't want my stuff to go away. I want it to still be available.
Oh,
In
well, I
some
mean,
form.
if we're getting deep about it, let's put it all out on the table. Same, because like think of it this way, right? Like let's take it in comparison to like let's use Markiplier, right? You to Markiplier, you have very dedicated fan bases, but we can both agree that his fan base is like exponentially larger than anything that you and I have done so far. So far, I'm gonna keep optimistic. If he passes away tomorrow, millions of people will mourn that loss, and his videos are already being re-uploaded to other channels for continuity's sake. They're going to enjoy that until like someone's great grandchildren doesn't know about him anymore, and then they'll move on. And it's the same thing with your content. You've been inspiring and putting people out for generations about how content is made and encouraging people and making new form content and doing things originally that it has inspired generations to come. And I want that for you. And it's the same thing for myself. And the only thing I get depressed about it because I'm like, man, if I were to pass away, I think like 4 people have seen any of the videos I've made.
Wow.
And it's just like, I got to make more content, man.
I think
that out there.
And the thing too with that is that like if my content has to go, like say YouTube shuts down and it goes away, I'm gonna post it somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Well, you want to talk about a tricky situation. Let's get into that. Let's talk about, it's not a question of like, do we think that we'll have the option to watch the content on the platform anymore? Is the platform still going to be around in another 10, 20 years? Because look at Twitter. Twitter's already having it's a sinking boat, and then someone set the boat on fire. So like there's already 3 other different Twitters now. YouTube is, a massive one, but it's because Google has been cranking money into it, but that only lasts so long. YouTube took a huge, huge hit when TikTok came out. And now that TikTok might get banned in the US, it's its own thing. But like, how long will your content even be available if the platform goes away? that's another one, because they could always just pull a 180 and be like, nope, the only content we allow on our channel or on our platform is late night talk show hosts, TV movie trailers, and, you know, content created by YouTube itself. All other amateur platform artists gone, get them off. And then your content's just gone.
And I do want to state that when we get to the Patreon topic, we're going to talk more about bands and stuff like that. So
yeah.
For those of you who are going to be patrons, you'll want to see that later on after this. But I think just to put a pin in it is, I think that no matter what, my content will exist. I'll find a way to make it exist, and even long after I'm gone. I'm not crazy popular or anything, but I know that there are people who archive my stuff, and I'm sure it will have a new home wherever it ends up being. You know, if my content truly is gone, well, at least I can remember, at least I can say, you know, the memories of the people who enjoyed it and the memories I had of making it will exist forever, and nobody can take that away from me. Except Alzheimer's, but I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But yeah, I think like I like the experience I had doing it is the part that matters, and you know, and I know that there are people out there, like, because I've gotten the message from people who said, you know, I'm going through a rough time. Your content, you know, helped me out, and that's one of the things that keeps me going. That keeps me thinking I can still do this, because if it makes someone else's day better, then by all means I'm doing something right.
Well, again, we mentioned it, and this is something to take. And Blonde Guy, I mean that Nightman, you too, because I've watched your stuff. Like okay, everyone in the chat, I want everyone to focus in powwow. Get close to Uncle Jake here. Here we're gonna talk. All of you have reached very specific and very culturally, like oh God, I'm finding out words that I'm missing here. You have all touched people in a way and encouraged people in a way that will literally inspire generations to come to continue making heartfelt, passionate content about nerd shit. And it is something that you should be proud of, all of you, because the content you create, whether you think it's good or whether it gets views or doing it, someone is watching it, someone is seeing it, and someone is appreciating it. And that could be the difference between that person having a child someday and becoming the next massive multi-million, you know, Mr. Beast type character, because you made a video that their parents absolutely loved to the point where you're a household name. Zero, again, your content, Jordan's content, you know, all of the people that I watched are the reason I even decided to buy a microphone and get on the internet in the first place. I am only at this point having this podcast with you because you put in the work and led to people like myself coming into this. So all of you should be giving yourself way more credit than you should. And to point out, Nightman, I really appreciate the fact that you do that for your friend, because again, you are keeping that history alive, that effort, that passion. That is a piece of them that will always exist regardless of where they are. You know, that is held and keeps them alive, because you only truly die when you are forgotten about. And as long as you have that, you are guaranteeing that someone's going to remember who they were for eternity.
If it now, I don't expect my gravestone to say, "Here lies Zero, creator of Zero's Maverick Hunting and Power Plays," but I sure hope that whatever, all the stuff that I've had, the thousands of hours of content that I have, is still going to continue to be enjoyed by people, and that's good enough for me. And my hope is that these things, these closures of things, you know, Rooster Teeth, Machinima, Screw Attack, all these things. I hope this encourages people to archive things. And especially the creators, we need to be better at doing that ourselves. We are so bad at managing our own content that we need to be good about that. Now, if it means dumping all my stuff on Internet Archive eventually, then that's what I'll do. Like, I don't know where else I would put it, but that's what I'll do. And, you know, to the people who actually do archive this stuff because they like it and they want to keep it and they want to make sure they have it in case it ever goes away, like, you guys are the You guys are the ones that are really the ones we should be thanking, because like the YouTubers do a poor job of keeping a hold of their own content, and I
Well,
am not the exception to that. So
I think a big part of it would be great is if I wish YouTube had like a segment for it, because I think they have a little too much confidence in like their own networking and like their server base, because like genuinely, like at some point storage runs out, right? There's only so many times you can back up a drive before the data on it is just inconsolable to use. I think it would be cool if there was a third party service that's whole purpose was to just backlog your videos, so that at any point you could just post a link and you could watch the video. It wouldn't matter. So if YouTube collapses as a whole, it doesn't matter. You have your entire video catalog backlog somewhere that you don't have to keep on like a weird 20 terabyte hard drive that you keep in your basement for like old time's sake, like your grandkids aren't like blowing the dust off of a VCR. Like this is, grandpa's fucking 700th video from back in 2035. Like you can just be like, there's a link. Just watch what you want.
Exactly. At the end of the day, though, it sucks that these companies are, like Rooster Teeth and these content creators, creator farms, I guess you could call them, or whatever, are starting to become a relic of the past. Like I said, your screw attacks, your that guy with the glasses, like stuff like that, like are kind of a relic of the past. Like Hidden Block still exists, but it's not really a thing. And oh my god, don't even get me started on normal boots. That's a whole train wreck.
Oh man.
Right there. But I think as long as the people are still there, these things will live on. So I hope that all the people who lost their jobs at Rooster Teeth because of this can find new work, and I know they will, because they are very talented people. Yeah, thanks, Blondie. And yeah, hopefully they will find new work, and I know they will, and they'll continue to make great stuff. It's funny you asked that, and thank you, Nightman, because that segues into our next topic. However, I don't know about you, but I got to use the bathroom. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about Akira Toriyama. Unless there's anything else you want to say about Rooster Teeth.
A message to all those that work there. Thank you for, almost 20 years worth of content. Thanks for putting out dumb stuff. Thanks for inspiring generations of people to make content and to show people that, even early on, it takes a lot of heart, it takes a lot of talent, but it doesn't require a lot of money to make content that can really do well for you. And it's not about how much you spend, it's about how you spend it and what you put into. So thank you guys for your service. I'm sorry that it's finally come to an end for you guys. Best of luck to you, and I hope the future endeavors are well and fulfilling.
Exactly. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking about Akira Toriyama. So
yep, I'll be here beatboxing.
Enjoy the beatboxing.
I guess, I don't know.
Don't you scare me like that.
Wait, what the hell was that? What was there like a weird photo and then me?
Yeah, because it's gonna do that every time I transition.
I saw like a weird. It looked like almost like a GIF of a person getting in position. I'm like, what is happening? Who is this?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. There's a man behind me. Dear Lord, help me.
Calm down now. All right. Welcome back, everybody. We're thanks for waiting for us. We're back with our next topic, which I purposely wrote the marker wrong in the chat so that I can go back to this later. But we're talking about Akira Toriyama. If you don't know who that is, wow.
Where have
you've never seen an anime or read a manga before.
Okay, that's a little unfair, but okay.
But if you don't know who that is, Akira Toriyama is the creator of lots of different works over the years in manga and anime. He's most well known for the Dragon Ball franchise. He's also made Dr. Slump, Sandland, and one of my personal favorites of his, Ackman, which was a spin-off of both, of course, Dragon Ball and Sandland. So there's that new Sandland game. I would also like to point out
he was the original illustrator for the Dragon Quest games, which I'm a huge fan of.
Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, if anyone's perused my channel ever before, I won't shut the hell up about Dragon Quest 8. So,
yeah, that's an interesting thing. I wonder if they're gonna keep the same style going forward, since now they don't have Toriyama.
It is like at this point, it is ingrained in the DNA of what Dragon Quest is. Or Dragon Warrior. I really doubt at this point that they would want to change it because two things. Number one, I think it would feel kind of cheap to the legacy that is Akira Toriyama with that franchise to try to reverse out of it at this point.
Right.
The question will be mainly, how do they respectfully go forward with that without feeling like they're just like, how do you not go stale moving forward, but also like keep the legacy moving?
Yeah,
it's like respectfully.
I think what Nightman said is a good option. Toya Toro's pretty much like emulated Toriyama's style, so they could probably hire them.
Yeah, but again, like that leads to its own question, which is there's one thing of being like the understudy, and I don't use that word in like the way that it's used contextually, like bad, but like understudy, like you are just as important as the main. But you were here in backup situations. They are the understudy to Toriyama in Dragon Ball. I don't know how I would feel about them being like, can you just replace Toriyama in all things? Because at that point, like, are you developing a career of your own, right? Like, are we just robbing the aspirations of an artist if all they're being paid to do is just emulate someone that's no longer with us?
I don't, like, if it was all of his works, then I would understand, like, you having that feeling. But I don't think, like, if Square Enix went to Toyotaro and said, hey, we want you to do the art for Dragon Quest, I don't think that's overstepping too much for that. But it's really a thing. Like Square Enix is going to have to make a decision. Either we get a new art style for Dragon Quest, or we continue with the art style we've had, just with a different artist. So
yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I should probably Google this. I don't know if Toriyama was still doing the concept art for the new games. I don't know if he was just originally part of it.
I think he was involved in the art.
Let me actually Google that.
But anyways, while you're looking that up, Akira Toriyama is like a legend in the manga and anime industry, not just in shonen, but in general. So many people were inspired by his works. If you just look at the responses from Masashi Kishimoto, Taita Kubo, Oda, people who made what was the new big three back when I was growing up. These are, of course, the creators of Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece who have commented on it, as well as other people.
To answer my own question, yes, he was all the way up until Dragon Quest XI. Yeah. And to point out the importance of this man's career, there are very few celebrities on a scale of not like Hollywood celebrity that like multiple news outlets across the planet would recognize.
Dude,
there's been a couple of like big musicians that have passed that globally had fame. I'm seeing articles that are coming out from like CNN, NBC, Time Magazine, USA Today, BBC. Listen, like these are big names.
Dude, at my job, an internal message was sent out honoring Akira Toriyama. That's how freaking important it is for like, and the industry and the place I work for, my workplace, has nothing to do with anime or manga, like nothing to do with media. So when they're even paying homage to, you know, one of the greatest creators of our time, yeah, it's a big deal. And I think what I agree with what a lot of creators said, it was too soon. And I mean, even saying that, you know, Toriyama has 40 years plus of like content that he's made just based off his own manga and stuff. And it still feels too soon.
It's a strange thing because it's like how it's, you know, it's bound to happen, right? I'd say the same when the founder of Studio Ghibli finally passes, and there's just specific things that if you grew up with it are so ingrained into your being. And Dragon Ball Z, Super, even GT at this point, I mean, it's such a legacy of content that we've absorbed like into our being. I mean, I can remember as far back as like first and second grade, like being picked to play Krillin, you know, because all the kids were older than me and I was the shortest. So like that's how long this has been around. Like there are artists, again, bring this back to like inspiring generations of people. There are entire generations of artists that started off because they loved Dragon Ball so much that they emulated that style until they developed their own. Dragon Ball, like that franchise, is globally popular. Like, and it's moved beyond just like normal nerd culture. Like sporting events are incorporating Dragon Ball. Like Goku was on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. Like that's a big deal.
The last few episodes of Super were aired in a big stadium in Mexico. If you look up if you look up on YouTube, Mexico reacts to Frieza and Goku versus Jiren, it's a stadium wide of people watching the final episode of Super. Like
it's a big deal, and
it's a huge thing.
I mean, and again, like to me, and I know this has been out because, like, let's be honest, like Yu-Gi-Oh was in theaters in the U.S. Sailor Moon had a movie I think that came out in the U.S. There's been a couple consistently. I didn't know that anime was in a movie theater until DBZ. Like genuinely, like they played legit movies. Like I went and watched Dragon Ball Superhero. Like me and my dumbass friends got together and like made it an event. Like we went out and got dinner.
Oh, that was
popcorn
great.
Bucket. We went and watched that movie together, and it was like I haven't felt so much like a kid in years until I went and did that, and it was worth it. Like it's an event. It's a thing where you can turn your brain off, cheer for the heroes, and like feel good about something again because you knew what you were getting into, and the world lost a part of that because there's 1,000 emulations of Akira Toriyama out there and so much work. Was he revolutionizing, you know, art style? No. Was his stories always the most captivating thing you've ever read? No. But it was consistent, it was consistently good, and it was consistently something that drove people to want to continue to read it.
It was easy to get into. Like
his legacy is going to be around for generations. Like it is not one that you're going to get away from. I mean, they've been referencing Dragon Ball in everything.
I mean, a new Dragon Ball anime is about to air within a few months.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not excited for it personally.
Yeah, I don't really care too much for it. The Dragon Ball Super manga is still going, and we still haven't gotten animation for it yet. And there's lots there's like 3-4 arcs that they still need to animate. So Super's probably going to come back as well. Dragon Ball video games are still being made. Like Dragon Ball is not going anywhere. is basically what I should say.
Well, at this point, let's be honest, it's like Mickey Mouse. It's too big to fail.
Yeah.
That is a cash cow for that studio. They could literally print Dragon Ball money at this point, and people would spend it. Like it's one of the largest franchises of all time. Like, actually, like there are people who don't watch anime and hate animation and all that, and who know Dragon Ball. Like, they just, like, it's that much in the zeitgeist of society. Like, it's just there. It permeates all things.
And Sab, what Sab said in the chat, that man made me want to draw. There are so many artists who I follow on Twitter who, when he passed, came out and said this. One of my own partners, Undai, her entire art style was inspired by Toriyama. And she developed as an artist because of the type of stuff that he did, and that she wanted to do that as well. So there's so many people who got into becoming like artists or like video content creators or like musicians or whatever because they were inspired by Dragon Ball and the other works of Akira Toriyama. Mm-hmm. That it goes without saying that you know, lots of people's careers or professions would not exist without him.
And it's crazy because, you know, he was 68, so right, so it's not like we had like another 30,000 years with him anyway. But like, it's just an interesting thing because we've lost 3 major. I always mispronounce this word.
Mangaka.
Yeah, mangaka. We've lost 3. We lost Berserks. We lost Yu-Gi-Oh's, which was such a crazy event anyway. And then now we've lost Dragon Ball, and it's an interesting time to see like where the shonen anime is gonna move, because again, like we've now have My Hero Academia, like Boruto, Boruto, whether you love it or hate it, still exists, and you know One Piece is on its 10 trillionth episode / manga chapter. I guess
the other one with the white-haired kid and who has anti-magic or something. Fuck, what is it called?
Yeah,
it's still going apparently. I thought it was done, but apparently it's still going.
Like, well, there's Hunter x Hunter is another one in that group too, which
that's because the creator of Hunter x Hunter can't stop playing Dragon Quest. Black Clover, that was it, Nightman. That's the one.
Yeah, but is that's still that again? If we're talking about generations of things. That to me is Gen 3. that is very new school.
Some people still consider
the
it
mythos of my life.
Some people still consider it one of the new big 3s, up there with My Hero Academia and One Piece, because One Piece.
Well, but people will go to fight. I mean, like Jujutsu Kaisen is also up there for a lot of people. Like that. But again, we have to keep moving into like things like Tokyo Ghoul and stuff like that. Like we start moving out because technically, and I don't mean this sarcastically, Toriyama was friends with the guy who wrote Bobobo.
Yeah,
and, like people consider that in the big ones, and I'm like, good for them.
and just going back to what you're saying of the ones that we've lost, like both of those things still live on. Like apparently the creator of Berserk told his assistants, who were doing most of the work for his manga in the last years anyways, how he wants the series to end, and they are if they haven't released it yet, they're going to be releasing the end of Berserk soon, because they know the ending, and he gave his blessing for them to finish it, which they were drawing the series for the last 5-10 years anyways, because he physically couldn't do it anymore. So like that's great that we're gonna get that. Yu-Gi-Oh has continued to live on past Kishimoto. Like it's and Dragon Ball will continue to live on. These things, they're gone, but their works live on. And it's funny because somebody posted on Twitter a picture of Hiroyuki Araki and said age 62, and I'm like, don't you fucking dare. And it was just bait. Because Araki, like, who makes JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, by the way, like, he's pretty close to Toriyama in age, but, I mean, his Hamon training is going good. I mean, the guy looks like he's in his 40s.
So. It's going to be an interesting series.
Takahashi, sorry, I mix up the names. Thank you, Nightman.
But there's a lot of really talented illustrators and story writers. I think that's the thing. I don't want to slight this. All the artists out there, please don't crucify me for this. I'm going to be honest with you. Where there is talent, there is emulation. if someone is talented enough, there are people out there who can emulate your style. So if you work closely with someone, you can literally get them to recreate your works in a very approachable and good way. Will it ever be the exact same? No. Where you lose, and I think what people really lost with the Toriyama situation here is that where will the story go? And it's the same thing with Berserk, because I can tell you like how I want my book to end, but are you going to write the book the same way I was doing? Because that's harder. You can express anything you want through art, but it's harder to capture decision making, right? Like I could not, like if we were doing something together, I could not express to you like what you were going to be doing with your own life and then tell you how it would have done.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I should preface here that Toriyama was pretty hands off on Super because he wanted Toyotaro to write his own story in the universe. He didn't want it to be his, he still would approve things and make suggestions, but like Super has pretty much been Toyotaro's baby. It's not Akira Toriyama's thing. Toriyama was just an advisor on Super, and that's about it. And that's where I'm like, I can appreciate Super because it's a new story in the universe that doesn't have to be written by the person who wrote the first stories.
Yeah, but let me ask you, the world's greatest fanfic.
So let me ask you this, like just for like the Berserk thing specifically. They know the end of it. They said they're going to end it with his intention. But you're saying no matter what, it's going to be different because it's not the original person who did it. Would you rather it just stay dead and not finished? Or
no.
Rather be
I
finished?
100% believe it's like a great example is after Heath Ledger's passing, right? They had a movie that was in development at the time and Heath Ledger passed and he couldn't finish the movie. So what do? Do you pull a crow and have a bunch of stand-ins? Do you end it respectfully? Do you just cancel the project? What happened was a bunch of his friends, people like Joaquin Phoenix, oh my God, there was a few other people. I'm trying to remember, but there was like a group of people that were friends with Heath Ledger that came in and finished the movie on his behalf. And they just like grew their facial hair out and did stuff to try to match what the character was. And then respectfully, that's how they did it. Or even with the Fast and Furious movies, where Paul Walker's brothers came in and finished the performance because they didn't need a ton to do. And I would rather the project be able to finish because you're getting to see the hard work of the individual involved. That is a legacy that they left, and they trusted their people to do it. Will it be the same? If you could keep a healthy version of the author and then the version that is written by the pass off, would they be the exact same? No. There's going to be artistic direction changes that are going to be there that are never going to be the exact same. Is the message still there? Yes. But will it be the same? No, but that's the same thing that can happen anyway. Like if George R.R. Martin had been in the middle of Game of Thrones and passed away, and, HBO had the money to get somebody else to pick up the writing, it would have not been the same. And people would argue on chat rooms until the end of the time whether or not it was better or worse because of it. We'll never get to know because life took that answer from us. But I do much rather hope that it stays around. One of my favorite bands of all time, Singer, died. I'm still glad that they're performing music with a new guy because otherwise those artists would have just stopped.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like it's like just another example. When Kamen Rider was being brought back in 1999 for Kuga for the start of what was considered the Heisei era, Shotaro Ishinomori, the original creator of Kamen Rider, was working on it. He sadly passed away before they could finish the work on it, and they ended up finishing it anyways, so it could air in 2000. And then they just kept going with it. They made their own new era of Kamen Rider because let me put it this way: all the Kamen Riders in the Showa era are all cyborgs. It's basically the same thing every time, just with new characters and people and whatnot. But they were already doing something new when they made Kuga, and now it's like it's people from all different things. Like one series is not going to have the same type of powers as the other series, whereas in the Showa era, a lot of them are pretty comparable, except Amazon. But Amazon's a weird one, and so I think it's cool that my favorite show, Kamen Rider, has lived on from long past its original ideas. It still makes tribute to the legacy and still respects the legacy of the franchise, but it's moving forward to do its own thing. Even now in the Reiwa era that we're in, it's doing something new and different, and I think that's a good thing to go from there. I'm fine with stuff continuing on if it changes and grows from what it's from, as long as it's not stuck in its legacy. Because that's really the problem that you can run into, being stuck in your legacy, and then you're just making the same story someone's already told before.
Oh yeah, I mean, like they do that crap all the time, and then that's where you hope that somebody either takes the reins or they let it, kind of fade into obscurity peacefully. I'm trying to think of examples of other content that like started off as something, and then somewhere in the creative process, someone has passed, or it's just not the same, and they just kept it going for the sake of keeping it going. And I know there's a lot of fear in that because, again, when the creative head of something passes, like, okay, let's take a popular franchise that's near and dear to my heart. And also, Sloppy, I agree. It is very easy to state it's easy to copy someone and then just do. You're completely right. The art will never equally be the same because people aren't photocopiers. There will be difference in direction. There's going to be difference in strengths and weaknesses of lines and stuff. Yeah, SpongeBob is a great example.
Eddsworld, like you like. That's one that's I'm surprised is still going.
Well, yeah. So my example back to this is the James Bond franchise. I'm a huge James Bond fan, genuinely. Barbara Broccoli is like the only remaining original piece of that puzzle. And that's her father's legacy that she has continued on through the Brosnan era into the Daniel Craig era. And at some point you have to wonder, like, at what point should it stop? Like, when is it just not a legacy worth continuing? At what point is it just a cash grab? Like, what? Like, look at Rambo now. There's another Rambo movie coming out with Stallone in his like 70s.
Is there another one? I thought they did Last Blood already.
Yeah, no, New Blood. It's got John Berthal, the guy who played Punisher, as like his understudy. Here's my thing: is like at some point, like Terminator is another one of them. Like, these movies are going, but should they? Should the legacy have stopped when it was no longer feasible to like not CGI your entire cast?
And that's like, a good question, because like there's a lot of things, like, for example, I liked Terminator Genesis, but I know a lot of people don't.
That was such an interesting movie.
Yeah.
The only thing I had in that movie that I didn't like was the casting choice.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about me trying to believe that. Wait, Genesis is the one that like John Connor is actually a Terminator now, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. That's the one where, yeah, what's his name? Okay, here's my thing about that. I just don't know if I feel like Amelia Clarke was a good one for Sarah Connor. I just feel like they went like, who's a popular actress right now?
I think
nothing
she's okay.
against Amelia Clarke. I think she's a good actress. But again, like, look who she was supposed to be portraying. Like, I went from this first woman looks like she could punch my mouth through my head, and then Amelia Clarke is there, and I'm supposed to believe they're the same person.
Yeah,
and it's just a weird.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one, because I think she did great in the film. But I mean, I was like, Terminator Genesis is one of the ones that is like people are like is very divisive about. Some people like, and some people
that's how a lot of people feel about Terminator 3.
Oh my God, Terminator 3.
He punches the Sarah Connor coffin, and it's just a rocket launcher. I
think it's cool that there's a Commodore PET in the background of one of the scenes, but like and I think the TX or whatever it is cool, but the story of that movie is just bad.
If we're talking about movies that I really enjoy, yeah, I mean, true. And again, Terminator 2 threw a lot of people off. The fact that Terminator 1 was supposed to not be an action adventure film, it was a horror movie about a killer robot. It was supposed to scare the shit out of you. And then they were like, well, what if we took the sequel and made it an action film? And then they
so Alien and Aliens.
Yeah, seriously. So my question specifically is like, well, before I move on, number one, I just want to point out I'm a huge fan of Terminator Salvation. I liked that movie. I thought it was a cool concept.
That's the one I haven't seen.
It's way different. It's got what's her name that was in. She's like Tim Burton's ex-wife, and then it's got. The guy from Avatar is in it. And then Christian Bale is John Connor, which is such a weird choice.
Christian Bale's in there? Damn.
Christian Bale plays John Connor. And it's such a cool movie to me because it's a whole thing. I'm not going to ruin it because you haven't watched it, and it is a decent movie, but there's just a lot to it to take in. And I was like, man, I like that we didn't like recreate what the original movies were trying to do. You know, we're not sending more people to the past to change the future. This is life right now, and this is how what the War of the Machines looks like, and just deal with it. You know, that's how life is. So that was a cool concept to me. So I don't want to point out, like, I know a lot of people didn't like that movie. I thought it was a cool movie. I also thought it was really interesting that they didn't steal, so I'm going to put it in quotations here, a lot of stuff from a book called Kane, which has some scenes in it that are like one for one, but Kane's a cool book. So, but yeah, but no, like there's just a point where it's like, at what point is a legacy worth letting go? Like, at what point do you stop? Like with Lord of the Rings, right? With the Rings of Power, people are real hit and miss on that. Like, people are like, what the hell are they doing? A lot of people do like it. Game of Thrones with the prequels that they're doing, like, at some point we all have to look at it and go, this is just for money. Like, we're not even into it anymore.
And I'm like, and you know, I am bad for this because I do like, I'm more likely to see something that's a continuation or, you know, or a new chapter of something that I've already seen before. I'm bad for that. Like, I know a lot of people probably disagree with me, but like the new Ghostbusters comes out next week and I'm excited to see it because it's finally something new in the Ghostbusters franchise that I want to see. It's not Gozer again, which I gave them an okay for the last film because I'm like, okay, it's a legacy thing.
It was also, in my opinion, a good send-off. That was not bad. But the thing is that it's not really a passing a torch because all the cast that could be in it is still in it. So.
But apparently they're still not. You know, it's the main focus is on the newer characters, which is what I do
appreciate that they're trying to like. And again, nothing against. I love Kirsten Wiig. I think that. Oh gosh, the SNL cast, like Melissa McCarthy, I think they're fantastic actors. I have nothing against them. But that movie missed the mark. Like the 2016
Famous Owens' favorite character is back, and favorite actor is back in the new Ghostbusters film. As we all know, Paul Rudd. So
not a fan of Paul. Got it.
He's not that he's not a fan. He just thinks that he's a nothing burger. Hey,
not a whole lot.
He beat Michael Myers in Halloween 6 with a pipe.
I mean, he was in Clueless and started.
I like Paul Rudd. I think he's good. But anyways, like it's and you could say, you know, I'm part of the problem because I'm more likely to try something that is I know has proven
familiar.
Sequels,
it's an IP
familiar.
thing. It's a comfort thing.
Like and just like. When Barbie and Oppenheimer were out, I didn't see either of them, but I wanted to see Barbie. I didn't give a shit about Oppenheimer. And
we all do, Nightman. We all do.
It's because I you could say it's because I recognize, but I also I'd heard the story that Oppenheimer had told before. I just don't care to see any more of it. And it's not that I don't go see original IPs. I try to. It's just most of the stuff I see is a sequel or a new chapter of an existing franchise. And I know, again, I know
Dune 2 is really good.
I have seen none of the Dunes, but I have heard Dune 2 is good.
You genuinely must watch the first Dune movie to make any sense of what's going on in the sequel. Because it's like you could have read the books.
I mean, I'm not going to watch
I'm
not going to watch Dune 1 until I watch Dune 1984. Like, that's just the way I am.
Oh, well, good luck, because they're not the same.
I know they're not the same, but I want to see... I like seeing all of it. That's my thing.
I just think it's cool that the original Dune has the guy from Twin Peaks.
Yeah. And I just... And like, I know what you're saying. When is it, you know, when is it enough? And
when is something allowed to die?
And that's
stop reviving it.
That is a big problem, but I think... as long as there are creative people still there, I think it's okay for these franchises to exist. If in 20 years Dragon Ball is still going, but someone new is getting a chance to write for it, I think that's okay because it means we're getting a new perspective. The problem that I see is we're getting to the point where we've gotten past that lull of, I'd say, between like the 2000s and the 2010s of movies that were like just sequels to, hey, I remember this. I think we're starting to get past that and we're starting to write actual good stuff again because it's not just being made quickly for a buck. Like they're trying to make money. All corporations are trying to make money. But I think more more so they're trying to get people who are interested in this and doing something different with it is good. Like, people come to me all the time and say, hey, Zero, you're a big Power Rangers fan. You must have really liked the 2017 Power Rangers movie. And my response to that is, no, I hated that movie. I hated it because it's the exact problem that I have with something. If you're going to reboot something, don't waste my fucking time. Like, a lot of people are like, you're a big Power Rangers fan, but they miss the part. The reason I'm a Power Rangers fan is because I like the formula of story, action scene, story, action scene, story, action, blah, 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 blah. Yes, it's repetitive, whatever. And you can't do that as easily in a movie, but the Power Rangers movie didn't need an hour of story before they morphed. Like, we know who these characters are. You can do origins again of the original, like, Mighty Morphin team. That's fine. But, like, not an hour before they morph. Let them have a fight scene at the 45-minute
What the hell is that guy's name? The guy, the floating head. His name is
Zordon.
Zordon being played by Bryan Cranston was also really funny to me.
That's a really great casting choice, and it's also funny because Bryan Cranston voiced a lot of the monsters in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So, like, it's...
Billy is, or one of the characters is named after Bryan Cranston, like actually named for him as a person.
Yeah. Billy Cranston. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Billy Cranston is named for Bryan. Like, what a weird piece of history.
But like, and so I was excited for the film, but then I saw it and I was like, oh, they morph one time. They do a fight scene for 10 minutes and then they get in the Zords. Like, that's not Power Rangers. That's fucking like an hour of cock tease. Like, that's
also
like
rip to the Green Ranger because he's not with us anymore.
Yeah, Jason David Frank was one of my heroes. So, but
the last time I remember him actually being like in my conscious memory before that weird cameo with him and what's her name in the Pink Ranger, was he did the? Did you ever watch the Bat in the Sun videos on YouTube?
Yeah, I've seen those,
yeah. He was in the Green Ranger versus Scorpion. I was like, well, I know who I want to win. I don't know who will win. Oh, man.
Amy Jo Johnson.
I will say,
yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah, Amy. And I remember when they did the Once a Ranger, Always a Ranger special, she was like one of the few people that was like, I absolutely refuse to be a part of it because it doesn't feel right.
Well, not just that. She also was making her own Power Rangers comic series that was a new universe, and she felt like it would be conflicting to be a part of it. So that's not the only reason.
There was a lot to it. Again, it wasn't
Jason David Frank, and to Jason David Frank's, his to who he is, he would come back to do a lot for Power Rangers because the fans like to see him in it. But he also, before he passed, he also passed on Once and Always because he felt like he had done enough. Like, he's like, I've done enough Power Rangers. If they keep focusing on me, then no other character has a chance to grow. I'm just going to step away from doing this time.
Well, I'm really glad they brought Billy back for Once a Ranger because he got literally bullied off the show.
Not only that, he's the mentor in Cosmic Fury. So in the next season, which takes place after Once and Always.
And I always loved the Blue. He was my boy. The Blue Ranger was so cool.
Not only that, in Cosmic Fury, he gets to morph and fight with the other Rangers too. So it's not he's not just there as the I'm your Zordon. He also fights too. Which one of the things that I always complain about is when they bring back a past character and they don't get to join in the fighting. So I'm like, that's cool that they did that. And he pilots a Zord, so they did Billy good. But
well, on that same vein of things, before we probably move on to the next topic at this point, I was talking to I have a D&D group I meet up with on Sundays usually, and we went and had breakfast this morning, and the conversation kind of geared towards a similar one that we're having now, and the question was, what is you like if we're going down memory lane and we're talking about franchises that it'd be great to see people pick back up or that they should fall off and like stop being made. Is there a game out there that you really wish, and I know we've kind of dabbled in this conversation before because you know how I feel about Resident Evil Outbreak and Outbreak File 2. What would you say is another series that either has, in your opinion, gone past its peak or is one that you would love to see lovingly picked back up and like put back out to modern audiences?
Do you know who I am?
I mean, yes, but...
You know what I'm going to say.
Well, I also know what Jordan would say. So
You know what I'm going to say, and it's Mega Man Legends 3.
right, but just like a sequel, or to have that one remade, or
Well, I mean, with all the legacy collections Capcom's been doing, I am dying for a Mega Man Legends collection. Like, I know there's not a lot of games in this series. There's 3, technically 4. 5 if you include the prototype version of Mega Man Legends 3. But I would be happy if they just repackaged 1, 2, and Tron Bonne in a legacy collection, because they've done it for the original series, the X series, the Zero and ZX series, and now the Battle Network series. When is the Legend series going to get its time in the sun? And I know, because there's only like, technically they could probably give us an official port of Big Five Island Adventure. They won't, but technically they could. But even if they just include those 3 games and sell it for like, I don't know, $20, $30, I would be happy. Like, even if they sold it for full price, I would still pay.
well, I mean, they
just to have
kind
those
of
3
did
games.
similar with the Tomb Raider 1 through 3
Yeah,
update thing that they did.
like I would pay to get and just something that I think people need to realize is the legacy collections are not emulations; they're ports. So
they're full ports, yeah.
They're full-on ports. So whatever console or system you buy them for, it's being ported to that. So Mega Man's 1 through 6 aren't just emulations of the NES games. They ported those games to newer systems. So, and I know that doesn't mean much to most people because they're like, oh, I can just emulate these. But, like, I would love to see a modern port with dual analog for the 2 Legends games.
So like an update, actually.
Yeah.
So like full modern. So would you want them to pull like a Resident Evil 2 where it's like modernized for new consoles, like ground up rebuilt?
If they
just
ground up,
good.
I mean, if they ground up remade the Legends series games, I'd be down for that. But they're not going to do that. I just know.
So you're looking for more of like what they did with like the Mass Effect Legendary Collection, where like it was updated, yeah. It was like the bugs were pulled out of it with modern, but then released to modern consoles.
They do what they did with the Half-Life Anniversary. Like, take the original game, update it, maybe add some more content, but make it a little more modernized so that it can be played on more modern platforms. I can play Half-Life Anniversary on my Steam Deck because they optimized it to work for the Steam Deck.
Well, the Steam Deck is also as good as you'd hope, but not as... No, I'm sorry. It's better than you'd think, but not as good as you'd hope, because there's still a couple games that I'm super mad that I can't play on there.
I mean, there's a few games that don't work, but a lot of games are untested, and then they'll still work. Like, I play Power World on my Steam Deck, which is not technically Steam Deck rated.
No, and I've been playing Baldur's Gate on PC, and then when I have to play what I've referred to as like my Switch version, it's like, ugh. The game that I was thinking of specifically when I asked this question is I was a huge fan, and if my brother is still in the chat, he'll know what I'm talking about. I was a huge fan of the game Area 51 for the Xbox. And the sequel they provided for it, Black Site, is literal trash. Like, it's not good at all. But the original had such a cool concept, and it had a really cool survival horror element that not a lot of people had done. Like, considering what it came from as like the weird half 3D, half 2D real Polaroid picture arcade shooter thing that they like Area 51 is based off of. They took that and like really ran with it like Hollywood style, and it was such a cool story with like the conspiracies and like how I won't get into a tangent on that alone, but like I would love to see that game like lovingly brought back and like really worked on. But another one that I think, and I think you and I have talked about this one before in the past, is the Fear series.
Yeah.
Fear blew people's minds when it came out. Like Fear 1 changed AI in a game to the point where like future games were held against that standard, kind of like they did with like graphics with Crysis. Like it was a big deal. And then Fear 2 was really well received. Fear 3 not so much. But like I think that's another one with the, especially with like what they could have done with like Callisto Protocol, right? Which was just over, you know.
I mean, yeah, Fear could use a remaster.
Yeah. There's like Fear is such a cool concept. And I think if they could take all 3 games and combine them into one really good game, you'd have such a cool concept for something to play on modern consoles or modern PC, because like visually it's terrifying, you know, and now that it's not going to look like PlayStation 2 graphics, it could actually be scary, you know, like it's just, and it's a cool multiplayer experience, which is such a niche that no one ever feels. There is not a lot of multiplayer survival horror or like horror games that are like non-arcadey or single mission co-op adventure kind of stuff, like Dying or Dead by Daylight and stuff. And like, give me a scary ass horror game with multiple people.
And I know we're on a tangent of a tangent, but I also think that spiritual successors are fine too. Like, I just completed 2 of them. I completed Lords of Exile and Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore, which, if you don't know, Lords of Exile is basically modernized Castlevania 1 and a little bit of Castlevania 2. And Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore, is the guy who remastered the Zelda CDI games, made his own Zelda CDI game, and it's good.
Oh, neat.
So, and I completed both of them recently. So I think that's great too, because those are inspired by those series, and then they went on to make their own thing, and I think that's a good thing too. But I don't want every game to be the same. Yeah. I don't want everything to be the same.
Spiritual successors and stuff. Like, I'll take a spiritual successor at this point because I just want Wild Arms 2 back. Like, just give me my game back, please.
Isn't there like 4 Wild Arms games?
There's so many, but they're not the same, man. I hold. Like, Wild Arms 2 is my favorite PS1 game of all time. Like, I will say that. I will die on that hill. No matter how badly received it was, no matter how ungreat the translation was, it was a multi-layered game with multiple protagonists that had different interwoven stories. It was very ahead of its time. The soundtrack is great. The animations are good. I love that game, and I would have loved for someone to like go in and really just make the game what it should have been.
I don't want to go too much further on this because
this is the rabbit hole of rabbit holes.
So, this was going to happen with this podcast. The way I want to end this off is saying is that, like, even though, like I said, even though Akira Toriyama is gone, his legacy is not going to be forgotten anytime soon. And I feel like we're talking a lot today about legacy. I mean, we talked about it with like content creators. We've talked about it with, people who make other stuff. Like, I think at the end of the day, like, I don't, regardless if Dragon Ball survives another 20 years with new content or not, we'll still always have the things to remember the original work by. And, I mean, I've been thinking about rewatching Dragon Ball because I haven't seen it in years. Like the original Dragon Ball, I've never done a rewatch of it. I own it on DVD.
That's on that list of movies where people like, does it hold up?
Yeah, like
does the original Dragon Ball hold up to what we remember?
Like I saw Dragon Ball Z first, and then here in Canada they aired Dragon Ball on Saturday mornings. So I was watching both shows at the same time. But the original Dragon Ball, it's been ages since I watched it, so I do want to sit down and watch that at some point. I don't think, regardless of what happens with Dragon Ball or any of the things, like Akira Toriyama's work will forever be part of our cultural zeitgeist because it's, there's enough people who grew up with his stuff and are still discovering his stuff, even younger people discovering the stuff that he was involved in. He's like I don't want to compare him to Walt Disney because Walt Disney's not the best person in the world, but he's kind of like that. His stuff will live on long beyond where his life. So if you're a fan or if you're interested or whatever, like Dragon Ball is readily available. I personally would recommend the Go-Go Ackman games for Super Famicom because I reviewed one of them. And Ackman's my favorite of his works. But Dragon Ball, obviously, Dr. Slump, Sandland. Sandland's getting a new game, which I never would have expected, but that's happening. So, there's content to absorb. And not only that, there's so many content creators who just covered Dragon Ball on YouTube that I didn't even mention. That there's so much cool theory stuff out there. Like, Toriyama's works will live on. His legacy will live on. And no matter how you experience it, I hope you enjoy it. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, Toriyama's, as you stated, legacy is going to continue to inspire. It's going to continue to push people to continue to make great stuff like that. And again, that's the never-ending content creator of any kind. And I say content creator in a non-ironic way, but like generally, all great art inspires great artist, which makes great art, which inspires great artist, and so on and so forth. It's the never-ending wheel of drive for creativity. Nobody creates in a bubble. Everything is brought on by something else. And in this case, Toriyama is going to be the flame that sets off a ton of artists. And maybe his passing is going to ignite a new generation of people to be able to step up and try to fill the shoes and do stuff. Because you never know. I mean, like, again, One Punch Man's artist, like, originally with the story creator, couldn't draw for shit, and somebody was kind enough to start redrawing it, and that's serialized, you know, like, it's a whole thing. So
I think it's the Death Note guy who did. No, it's not the Death Note guy. Sorry.
That would be really funny to me if the guy who did Death Note took over One Punch Man and continued it, because that guy has some opinions.
Yeah, I don't think it's him. It's somebody else. But yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a ton of stuff out there like that. So that's rest in peace. I say, you know, to Toriyama. Thank you for your work. Thank you for inspiring people. Thank you for creating something that is a little kid. I could convince my little brother to scream and stuff, you know, inspired by that to make them feel better.
Thank you for inspiring a generation of people to yell really loud because they thought that's how they could become Super Saiyans.
Yeah, like just literally, like, there is an entire Gym Bro generation dedicated to Toriyama and the works. Like that, like Dragon Ball in Naruto, among things. Like, there's a couple of other anime, but those two, for some reason, are like the great uniters, right? Like, anyone, like, from the most impoverished person on the planet all the way up to the richest can shake hands and break bread over Dragon Ball and Naruto.
One Piece as well.
Like, who's your favorite character? I'm an Akatsuki guy myself. Like, oh, cool, I like Vegeta. Like, let's talk. And then, like, you're at the barbershop just like talking to like 30 dudes you've never met, and all of you have something to talk about because you all have theories and stuff. Like, it's that kind of experience where it's like almost communicative, you know, like everyone's involved, everyone's partaking, and that's not something that's going to go away anytime soon. So luckily, you know, he left not necessarily on his own terms, but I guess when it was time for him to, and he could not have left it in better hands. And I think that it's a legacy that's going to stand the test of time.
And with that, let's roll into our last topic of the night.
Yeah, this will be the smaller one.
Yeah, this one will be the smaller one. We're going to talk about what was released during Mario Day. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, oh shoot, did I?
We're a little behind.
Whoops. I spelled marker wrong. That's what I did wrong.
Marcher.
There we go.
So I actually have a thing, and now the source is not the most reliable in recent years, but it is here. Crediting to author Willa Rowe. Thank you for posting everything I need to know. Couple of cool things that happened on this March 10th, which is, as it is known, Mario Day. Yeah, some interesting things. Okay, I'm going to be the first and foremost. The last time you invited me on here and we talked about Nintendo stuff, I was swinging way above my weight class because I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan on the planet, right? Like, I definitely follow my gaming realm elsewhere. But I will state that I've tried to keep up with it. But why don't you lead us into what your thoughts are about some of the announcements?
Okay, so like, I like that Mario Golf and Tennis are coming to Switch Online. That's awesome. Hello, Mario. Exactly. Don't try to play that TTS. It's not going to work tonight.
No, I love that joke. It's like, hello, DS. Hello, little stylist. Hello, Mario. It's just the deepest.
But I think the big thing and the main thing we're going to talk about is Miyamoto's announcement that they're making another Mario movie, which we all know is going to happen.
So Chris Pratt gets another paycheck.
Listen, I thought he was fine in the first film. I thought he was great.
I joke. I don't know why. Like, I get people aren't super happy about his more conservative opinions and some things, but like, I don't think he's a bad guy. I also don't think he's a bad actor. I don't know why people hate him so much. Like, I get it. He gets a lot of work, but like, it became a meme to hate him. But like, out of all of the conservative people, like, that I've seen in like, in celebrity, he seems to be the most chill and also isn't like anti anything. So yeah. It's his thing is that he followed if I'm allowed to go into it, because I don't follow it hard, but like genuinely, he followed a church that is based out of Australia that is really popular in the United States, and they have a specific stance against the LGBTQ community. Obviously, that sits with people wrong. But again, large group of religions of all kinds have various stances on different political opinions about people's lives.
I'm actually not going to go into this too deep, but that was actually debunked. The church people were comparing it to another church that the person who runs this church was a part of, but he left because he didn't believe in that. So
there you go. See,
it's yeah.
He's like just easy to hate on. He was easy to hate on. He was an easy target because he gets work. Do we all wish Charles Martinet did Mario in the movie? Yeah, probably. A lot of people don't give a shit, and that's fine. But like a lot of the people who were fans of Mario wanted Charles Martinet, and now they're extra pissed off because he got to say like 3 words in the whole movie. But he's in it, and he obviously Charles
Martinet retired. He didn't want to be in it. Like he didn't want to be Mario. I guarantee he didn't want to be Mario in that because he's tired of doing all those characters.
And again, it was a good send off at the end for him to be like, "That's my boys," because like they were, you know.
Yeah, he got to be Mario's dad. Like that's probably
which is
a role
kind of fitting in its own way.
That and Jumpman, he got to be Jumpman as well. But
yeah.
Because Jumpman is a separate character in the Mario movie universe. So
apparently,
there's a lot of things I want from these video game movie like universe that they're making. Like Sega teases me every time I see one of the Sonic movies with that, including some shots from some of their games that I want to see movies of. Yakuza. Well, and so with Nintendo. With these companies, they're just getting started on their cinematic universes. Like it's not like Marvel, where Marvel's has had almost 2 decades.
Literally drove it to the ground and then stepped on it and then used it as a doormat. And then...
These cinematic universes are just getting started. So a Mario sequel, I figured, was going to come. If it means we're going to get more movies of other games too, I'm all for it.
Illumination is already in works on a Legend of Zelda movie, or from my understanding, like the script is out there. I don't know if they've actually started working on it, but it's like they've been working, and I think the debate was like, should it be live action or should it be animated? And like, how do you make an entire movie with a character that doesn't speak and make it compelling?
You make a CDI Zelda game.
Yeah.
Boy, it sure is boring around here without Ganon.
Well, excuse me, Prince.
That's the cartoon show, not the CDI.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's all in the same.
I'm so hungry, I could eat an Octorok.
Did you see the thing from the animated series of Legend of Zelda where they like put Beavis's voice over him?
No, but I gotta see.
It is like a 20-minute, super well edited, like it almost feels natural, and it's just voice clips from Beavis over Link. And it works super well. And the king of Hyrule is Butthead.
Yeah, I gotta see.
It's so ridiculous. It's so funny.
I gotta see that later.
So Illumination's making another Mario movie, so that's fine because the last one was cool. Charlie Day is Luigi. I'm a huge Luigi fan, so that's fine.
I still hope this leads to a Smash Brothers cinematic universe. Like that's
yeah. Well, okay, but like, how do you make a Kirby movie? Let's be real. There's not enough.
There was a whole anime called Kirby Right Back at Ya. I think they can.
And there was a WB series about Kirby that might even be this. I don't know.
That's the one I just mentioned.
It's not the most compelling show you've ever watched. I'm gonna be honest.
It's awesome. Shut up. It has a Spanish guy voices Meta Knight. But no, but like if anything, like I'm not a big Metroid fan, but I'd like to see some kind of Metroid movie or something.
I think that Metroid would make a fantastic. But here's the thing, and shoot me if you need to. I think Metroid would make a better live action movie than it would be animated.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like, how can you do Smash with all those characters that are no. Okay. Just Smash 1.
The original 64.
The original 64 cast. Maybe some of the cast who's in Melee. People always do this. They're like, how do you include all these other franchises? No. Only Nintendo franchises.
Okay, but here's the other
not
thing
Smash Ultimate. There were 4 Super Smash Brothers games before Smash Ultimate, guys.
Yeah, but wait a second. But Snake is in Brawl.
Yeah, but he's not. Is he in Melee?
No, he wasn't in Melee, but he was.
What third-party characters are in Melee? That's what I'd like to know. I'm talking just.
I mean, technically, that's when they started introducing. Oh God, what is that series that everyone knows?
I'm
God, the
like
one with
when
the
I
Ike
say
and Marth and
when I say Smash Brothers Cinematic Universe, I mean stuff that's all owned by Nintendo. Not
right. Well, I mean, yeah.
we're not talking guest characters, okay? Maybe Sonic, because I'm sure Sega and Nintendo could figure something out to have Sonic cameo, but I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not talking like pretend anything past Melee doesn't exist, which most Smash Brothers players do anyways. So,
oh come on, Brawl was fun. Brawl was fun.
I like Brawl. I'm just saying that because I know there's a lot of people who don't like my opinion on Melee, which is I think it's a glitchy game that you had to use hacks and glitches to try to make it a competitive game. And no, those weren't intended to be in the game. They were glitches because Sakurai didn't have time to take that stuff out of the game. Melee's a glitchy mess. It's only competitive because you made it competitive.
Well, it's also competitive because it.
And I'm not getting, and that is where I'm ending. And that's where I'm ending that conversation.
I respect Melee for what it was because it was leaps and bounds different than 64. Yes. Because 64 was limited to very rudimentary hardware.
I love 64.
The GameCube,
it's my favorite Smash until
crushed
Ultimate.
The 64 into the ground in terms of capability. So Melee, of course, is going to be leaps and bounds above it. There was also a huge time wait between 64 and Melee. Like people didn't even expect another Smash Bros. After 64. That was just the thing. So. Everything that came out subsequent was just gravy. It's gravy on poutine that was already good. Yeah, you know, like it's
the point is, I'm saying Smash Brothers Universe because literally any Nintendo franchise. So that's what I mean.
Crossovers would be good. I need them to not ruin all of the movies before they decide to pull an Avengers because you know, if they all
like Smash Brothers would be their Avengers. So
yeah, and I'm trying to think of who else would be in that though. Like Star Fox the movie could work.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back because I want to talk about ideas for the second Mario movie. Let's not speculate about stuff that hasn't even been announced yet. For me personally, I want them to either go the Super Mario Land route or the Super Mario Brothers 2 route. Bring in characters that are not Bowser as the villain. Like let's bring
King Boo. King Boo's gonna be the next villain. It has to be.
No, I think, like what I'm saying is, I want either Wart or I want what's his name from Land. What's his name? Shit. Because that means
because the movies a rabbit shows up and we're like, oh,
because if they do, they're talking. They talked like they were about expanding it. Maybe they'll do like a Super Mario World thing and expand it. Maybe they'll go to that's probably the obvious thing because the first movie, spoilers. Ends with a post credit scene of a Yoshi egg, and we saw Yoshi's in the first movie, and they actually recreated that thing from the Melee intro with the stampeding Yoshi. So maybe we'll get to go to Dinosaur Land in the next film. That'd be cool. Personally, I would like to go to Sarasa Land that was in Mario Land, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, right?
It would be interesting to see them use like Wario as the villain.
I mean, Wario. That would make sense if they went to Sarasa Land because Wario, was one of the villains in the Mario Land series.
Makes sense. Like, let's say they were going for 3 movies before they introduce like a crossover in the 4th, right? So for the second, Wario, and then you would tease Waluigi towards the end of the movie, and then because Wario isn't necessarily a villain, he's an anti-hero. That would make sense for why he would then be in the 3rd movie as like a partner character. So, yeah. But the question is like, who the hell do you get to play Wario realistically? Because again, Donkey Kong's already canonically in the movie, and that was just Seth Rogen being Seth Rogen. Like, he flat out said he wasn't going to do any voice. So, I don't know who you would get to play Wario that isn't going to be super annoying or obnoxious.
Tatanga. That's the Mario Land main villain, Tatanga. Sorry, I forgot about that. Tatanga or Wart, that's what I want to see as the main villain, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's probably you're probably right. They're probably going to do something like King Boo or Wario, which I'd be fine with as well. But good idea. Who would play Wario? I mean, my fan pick is like Joe Pesci.
How in the hell? Wait a second. Okay, so when I think Wario, I'm thinking deeper voice. Joe Pesci sounds like the embodiment of a mobster ant.
I mean, like, I did watch Goodfellas for the first time with
Robert De Niro plays Wario.
Oh my God, that would be
Jesus
awesome.
Christ, no, I'm trying to think of someone who can do comedic timing because you got Keegan Mike and Keegan-Michael Key is Toad. You've got Seth Rogen. You got Charlie Day. You got Anna Taylor-Joy. That I think I said her name right.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got Chris Pratt. Jack Black with Bowser. Not an expected cast, but I appreciate it. I'm trying to think of people who like have that kind of background, but also wouldn't like fundamentally change the character.
I don't want to say Danny DeVito because I've always seen him as a Mario.
And can you imagine? God, if we had Bob Haskins still alive, bring him back. But
Bob, yeah, Danny DeVito actually might be okay for Wario. Might be okay.
Can you? And then Waluigi. Oh God, if we could bring back actors, Waluigi would be played by Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh my God,
Wario, you fool! How can you have not already have gotten him? What is wrong with you?
That would have been phenomenal. Casting. That is perfect casting.
Just him scream. I'm sorry. I would normally be much better at that impression if I could be loud, but people are sleeping.
I'm now hearing it in my head. Like, fuck, dude. Look what you've done to me.
I'm just saying that, like, from now on, that's what I want. I want someone to take clips from like Mario Strikers and stuff like that, and just put Gilbert Gottfried over it.
Just somebody do a Oh my God!
And this is the point in the edit where that happens. I'm just future use problem, not use now.
Oh, I'm not editing these. I'm going to be putting.
No, this is not a thing. Yeah. Hopefully somebody else will Twitch that or clip it to something and. But yeah, so for characters that don't exist and can't do it, that's my choice. Oh man, what about like Bill Hader? Bill Hader for Wario, because the guy's a phenomenal voice actor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe. Fuck, I'm trying to think of another one for Wario. Like, I'm just so stuck on Gilbert Gottfried as Waluigi now.
Waluigi.
You got that in my head now.
I'm an electrician. Shut up. Have you ever heard that theory about like each of the brothers have like different craftsman jobs?
No.
So it all started about the time that Brawl came out, because like if you look at like the animations for each of them, they have like a weirdly specific like set of moves and things. And somebody was like, Mario is obviously a plumber, right? Very pipe oriented and stuff. But if you play Brawl, Luigi is very stiff, and one of his animations for victory is a plank. So they're like, "Oh, Luigi's a carpenter," like Luigi the carpenter, Mario the plumber. Waluigi is an electrician because when he would punch, electricity would come out of his fist, and then Wario is a brick mason. Because he has a move where he literally just kind of hits you with a brick. And it was just like, it would be cool that like each of the brothers on that thing were like all different types of tradesmen. And like that was their whole gimmick.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's kind of a neat idea, but I don't know. I think
because again, like they're plumber
brothers. That's just a theory.
It's just my theory. No,
thanks for
man. We'll come back to this next time we talk. We're gonna bring back out we'll leave a poll up on Twitter or something like who should voice Wario.
Yeah.
See if we can get that in, but just be like Gilbert Gottfried is immediately bubbled in for Waluigi.
Because like I'm like okay, if they do go the dinosaur land route and they skip right to Mario World, like Bowser's still the villain of that. Is Bowser gonna escape the thing? And I'm just like, oh,
he'll be dry bones.
Like Bowser again? Come on, let's do.
Well, I mean, but he's been the main villain for forever. My question is, are they going to introduce any of the other princesses, like Daisy, or Rosalina,
well, if they introduce Daisy, they have to bring Tatonga because Tatonga's the one who kidnapped Daisy originally.
Yeah, like, but is it all going to just be people getting kidnapped all the time?
I guess so.
Are we going to actually do that in the movies too?
No,
because it'd be interesting if like what is the city from?
And it wasn't actually a kidnapping till late into the first film, and it was like because Bowser threatened violence or whatever. But like just little things like the movie started with the like Penguin Kingdom, which is like not even like
a small glimpse of my power.
Yeah, which was awesome, but it was like just such a weird thing to pick for the The start of that. I would like to see. I know it's probably not going to happen, but like, because they might, like, I'm sure a Donkey Kong Country movie is going to happen. I would like to see like
you could see like Cranky Kong and stuff in the background in the movie. Like,
well, no, Cranky Kong's a main character in it, so
yeah.
I would love to see like a cameo from like King K. Rool or something like that.
Yeah, just another franchise that's not inherently involved in Mario, just like a weird nod. Again, like just making the joke, like a rabbit show up. It's just somewhere in the movie. It's like, hey, wait a second.
Get out of here. We got to wait for you for sparks of hope.
That would actually be really interesting as like a tie-in to multiple franchises, is like a rabbit shows up and then like jumps through something. And the post-credit scene is Mario and Luigi looking through a pipe that doesn't look like others, and like Hyrule is there.
Yeah. And that's why I'm like with them doing the pipes as dimensions thing, like they could have other things that make dimensions, and that's why I think this is going to be a Smash Bros. Cinematic universe. Like that's why I think that it's going to happen. Like eventually, they're all going to.
I feel like we're being mildly optimistic about this. I feel like they're just going to keep going until Mario doesn't make money, and then they're going to be like, all right, we're done.
I don't know. I think like everything has to be cinematic universe these days, so I don't think they're just going to stop with Mario. Like they'd be foolish to do that. Like, again, as much as I want a Yakuza movie, I don't think a Yakuza movie is going to happen, but, like, Sega would be silly as well to just bank on Sonic. There's other franchises.
And I will state, I'm very excited to see that Jim Carrey came out of retirement and just wrapped filming on Sonic 3.
Yeah, so...
The fact that he is still at it, like, the one movie he has broken the rule for, I am super cool that it's Sonic.
Yeah. I mean, and perfect casting for Robotnik, by the way.
Like not who I expected, but I'm glad. You know.
But yeah, there's lots to speculate with the Mario movie. Like I said, I think Dinosaur Land's the Kevin James.
You know what? Kevin James would have been a better pick for Donkey Kong, in my opinion, than Seth Rogen. And I like Seth Rogen, but I think Kevin James would have at least tried.
Seth Rogen wasn't bad as Donkey Kong, but
no, but again, like everybody else was like doing voices and trying to be things, and Seth Rogen's like, I ain't doing that shit. No.
But I think it's just making me think back to the Rescue Rangers movie with all of Seth Rogen's characters in the same room.
Oh yeah, where it's yeah. The scene where they like fall and it's like all of them talking to each other.
Yeah, and then Ugly Sonic saves the day in that movie.
God dang it!
God, it's such a good movie. It's such a good fucking movie.
He has the teeth. Like what a random.
Yeah, I mean, so if that can happen, anything's possible. I think, but yeah.
Also, good job, John Mulaney. Just that's what I'll end that at. But like, good job, John Mulaney. I appreciate you.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I think like Dinosaur World is probably where they're gonna go. And
I think it's cool. I just hope that my final question on this before we move to the last part of this: do you hope Yoshi talks, or do you hope he just says Yoshi?
I mean, he does in the Super Mario World cartoon. He joins a biker gang in one of the episodes.
Yeah, but that's also the cartoon, cool. And let's be honest, that was weird.
I had a friend of mine, voice actress. I was helping. Like I used to do voice acting like seminars for free for kids who wanted to get into voice acting. There's just one girl who did this, like this actress. She did this awesome, like this almost spot on Yoshi from that cartoon voice. And I told her about the biker gang episode. So every so often she'd be like, I'm in a biker gang now. I'm a bad boy Yoshi in that voice. And it's in my head and it sounds amazing. Oh my God.
What a random, dear Lord.
But yeah, yeah, I would like more expansion because like the Mario movie had so many references to like really obscure shit from the Mario and Nintendo universes, like stuff that like I noticed being like, oh, that was the thing. Like I noticed it like immediately when I heard it or saw it, and like I'm just like
that's how I felt about the D&D movie.
Like it's just like I hope that those don't just become references. Like they actually try to make more things. Like, do I expect a Punch-Out movie with Little Mac to happen? No. Would it be cool? Sweet. but I don't think that something like that's going to happen. But I think at the end of the day, like they're dipping their toes in with Mario to see how much they can get away with, and if this next movie does well, which it will do well, like it's going to do well no matter what. Like it'd be very hard to fuck it up.
And that's where you underestimate corporate greed.
And then I remember
where there is money, they will fuck it.
And then I remember the '90s Mario movie, and they fucked it up.
Let's look at modern movies. Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah, Assassin's Creed.
All of this,
but Assassin's Creed's not
movie.
Mario. You know what I mean? Like that's not Mario.
Like, but when you have like 12 games of source material, and you're still like, nah. Or Dragon Ball Evolution, where the literal creator of the show is like, I will help you guys make this great. And they're like, nah, we know better than you. We know what makes money.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm just saying, like, the only faith I have in this is that it's an Illumination film. And if they get to stick to their guns, it will be good. But if the studio execs are like, no, we need to make it stupider. And we need to there needs to be a gun at least once in the, like, you know, they can ruin it with stupid decisions, you know.
At the end of the day, we'll just have to wait and see what it brings, but I'm happy we're getting more of it. Sucks that they announced it and we're going to have to wait till next year before we see it.
You know what, though? It's still happening. That's all that matters. As long as the apocalypse doesn't happen between now and then, we get to have another nice time at the movie theater.
You know, the 7th apocalypse at this point.
Yeah, every 15 minutes, it feels like.
Me after Taco Bell.
Bro, I'm so mad. I was literally talking about this today. Taco Bell, right? At one point in like the early 2000s, a 5-layer burrito was 89 cents. Do you know what a Taco Bell 5-layer burrito costs right now at my local Taco Bell?
How much?
$8.95.
So 10 times the price.
Right. Why? It's not like it got better.
I honestly, like, tacos from Taco Bell have gotten worse. I haven't gotten a taco from Taco Bell in a long time. I got a regular hard shell taco and a regular soft shell taco recently, and like it was the saddest thing I'd ever seen. There was like no meat, no cheese.
Nothing. Well, it's because they got in trouble for using basically dog food quality meat at one point, and they're like, "Oh, we got to upgrade the quality of our meat." And you're like, "Great."
However,
and then somehow everything got worse.
However, the chili cheese burrito has not changed in 15 years. It's still the same. It's still delicious. I don't know why you can only get it. You can't get it in a combo anymore. That's silly. I did watch that Taco Bell Live Más Live. They're direct, and you guys are getting some crazy menu items that will never hit Canada. So,
yeah, but it's like, do we want them though? That's the question. It's like
apparently the Taco Bell fans do.
What is it? The going down the hill of that hole. We spent so much time doing that we never stopped to ask ourselves, should we? And that is exactly Taco Bell right now. Like, why is Taco Bell serving breakfast? Why does Taco Bell have pizza?
miss Taco Bell breakfast.
Why does Taco Bell have French fries? Like, this is just
I went to
tacos and be good at it. Let me go home.
I went to Illinois in 2022. I had Taco Bell breakfast, and I'm sad that I can't have it right now.
It's just not worth it. It's like,
it's so good. Shut up.
Breakfast. I'd go get breakfast. Like, just serve. Look? If you made fantastic tacos all the time,
the breakfast crunch wrap is one of my favorite things. Shut your whore mouth.
I want it. I just want the food to be good again. Like, just give me decent tacos before you start selling other shit.
I miss McDonald's pizza. That's where I'm gonna. That's the hell I'm gonna.
Man, have you ever had McDonald's spaghetti? Because that's different.
Yeah, I heard that was a thing. I've never. Dude,
I will someday. You and I are gonna get together and we're gonna go to Orlando, Florida, to the world's largest McDonald's, which is super cool, by the way. It has the original Mac Tonight, and we're gonna get a steak in spaghetti because those are menu items you can get there.
You can get steak at McDonald's. That just sounds cool.
It is a sit-down McDonald's. It is not a fast food McDonald's. It is a full sit-down restroom with a massive arcade and play place.
It definitely is a full sit-down restroom, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. There's toilets galore. But it's such an interesting experience. But yeah, so Mario movie's gonna be interesting. They put a bunch of games on sale. That was cool. I'm not gonna get super specific about it. I think it's funny that they're already doing Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, which I know has been a while, but it feels like only yesterday that game came out. So it's weird to be alive again.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But I'm not a huge Paper Mario guy, so like to me,
get it.
It feels like the time frame between hearing that game come out for the GameCube and then it coming out now is like, damn, that was fast.
That's fair. But the game, you got to remember, GameCube is 4 generations away now.
Oh yeah, true. But like, also that's because Nintendo was cranking out a console like every 15 minutes at one point. Because we got the Wii, the Wii U, and the Switch very close to each other.
Yeah,
not even including, like the DS and the DSi and then the DS Lite and all that stuff. Like that was a whole thing. So there was a ton of consoles coming out with different games. But what I think is interesting about this specifically is that with Paper Mario coming out, like as a remake, it's so odd because like people begged for Super Mario RPG to get made, like begged for Mario RPG to come out, and then now we're just getting Thousand Year Door for no reason. Like, no, I don't know who asked for it.
Well,
they're just like,
not for no reason. Not for no reason. As a Paper Mario fan, you don't know what pain is because the last 3 games have been bullshit. They're awful. And so people have been saying it hasn't been as good as since Thousand Year Door. I never finished Thousand Year Door. I'm a fan of the original game. But I will take this because it means we're not getting Sticker Star and Color Splash and Origami King again. Because fuck all 3 of those games. They're not RPGs. They're card picker simulators. Oh, and also combat in all of them is actually a waste of time and bad to do because you waste things instead of being gaining things. It's better to avoid combat in the RPG. I'm doing air quotes, you can't see, because you save on money and you save on materials and stuff like that. You actually getting into random battles in those games, it's actually a bad thing. So if they're going to remake or remaster the best game in the Paper Mario franchise, go for it. Watch how many people buy this compared to the other Paper Mario games and then be like, maybe we should make an RPG again. You know what I mean? Yeah, and what Blondie said, it is pricey as well. I was lucky to get my copy of Thousand Year Door for $50, which is considered cheap.
But there's a couple of games out there that it's like the fact that they're remaking it will throw the price of the originals all over the place because then it's like,
but the remakes
it's scarcity. If you want to play the game, you have to do it. And now it's gonna be like, well, now you have the remake, so not as many people are gonna be trying to buy these hugely marked up original copies.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyways, that's the Mario movie and the Mario Day stuff in a nutshell. Go play Mario Golf.
Yeah. Also, tons of discounts. Look at those.
Oh yeah. Well, not as many as I would hope. All the stuff that's discounted, I have or don't care for, which is funny. Or
it's not. Lego collaboration with Mario Kart. That's it.
Oh yeah, that too. That if the next Mario Kart is Lego Mario Kart, I'm okay with that.
I like Mario Kart. If they just kept updating 8 for the rest of eternity, I'd be really happy because we just have a ton of tracks. But
it is their best-selling game. So.
It has not fundamentally changed in a long time. Like the most out of the ordinary Mario Kart that exists was Double Dash. That's it.
If they make a Lego Mario Kart game, I'll be happy as long as it's not crap.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. But my thing is like everything's going Lego. Like Fortnite has Lego now. It's like. Cool. I guess just keep cramming Lego stuff at people and people will buy it, I guess.
It's a big franchise, so.
I mean, yeah, and people
big brand
literally sell their kidneys for it, so by all means, but just please don't ask me to play like a remake of the original Mario in Lego form.
All right then. All right, and with that, guys, we are in the Q&A portion of the podcast. Do you guys have any questions? We're going to be opening it up to the chat floor. To ask your questions. It can be about us. It could be about what we're doing. It could be about anything. As long as it is within Twitch and YouTube terms of service. Don't ask us about Blue Twitch or, other services that are not safe for work. Let's keep it PG. Let's keep it safe for work.
Yeah, Zero has to keep their shirt on. Like I have to see what's under the shirt.
Even though I've got one arm down, I still got to keep it up. I still got to keep no male presenting nipple here. And so
we bring back to that question.
Yeah, and so this will be for people who are listening on the YouTube upload. We will be taking questions on Patreon. And we will be taking questions live on Twitch when we do this live on Twitch. So if you want to have your question answered, those are your two options to get it answered. If there are no questions, we will move on to the end of the podcast. But if anybody has any questions, now's your chance to ask them while we're bantering. You got a few minutes to get them in. Otherwise, we are going to move on and finish the podcast and then do the extra podcast topic off.
Yeah, you can't see it right now, but Zero and I are actually thumb wrestling just underneath the cue card there. Like you can't see it because the frame cuts it off. But so far, I've lost 37 games in a row.
I thought you were saying we're playing footsies.
No. I'm married. I can't do that.
Okay, you monogamous person, you. I say with my four partners.
And I'm just saying, like my wife would literally come in here and banish me to the Phantom Zone if I was to get too out of line.
But I'm not a real girl. I'm a boy.
Does that change anything? I don't know. Is that better?
We're just playing games, bro. It's not gay.
What is it? Step streamer, what are you doing?
We are stuck in these windows, so
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, we can technically say anything below it's free game. You know, I could have giant tentacles sprouting from my toes. I don't know. I can only.
And because we're on Twitch, that's not what's happening.
I said tentacles for my toes. Thank you. I didn't say anything.
We can't show feet. We can't show feet on Twitch.
You can't show feet, but you can green screen your butt, but you can't do anything else.
I still can't believe that. So just before the podcast, guys, Mr. Upper was telling me about somebody who apparently like green screened pants and then put the game they were playing on their butt or something.
Yeah, I don't know. The only reason I know this is happening is because Moist Critical was talking about it moments before we went live. It's like, oh.
Moist Critical, come on the podcast,
dude. You know what's crazy is that like if we did well enough, he probably would.
Oh, I'm sure he would. Yeah, if
he would come on and be like, "It is me, guys. We're here."
Yo, what's up, everyone? This is Critical.
It's your boy. You naive fool.
I'm sorry if it looks like I'm out of breath and sweaty. I just played basketball with the boys out there. But I really wanted to get on the camera and talk about today's topic.
Which is queso cheese is not really cheese, and I don't care what you say, you incredulous buffoon.
Like what the fuck is queso cheese? What is it made of? Plastic?
Why is it yellow? No cheese is yellow. Like, no, dude, I love listening. So that's the thing is like I've never been a Moist Critical like fanboy, and I don't mean that like offensively to the people that enjoy. Like it was just never in my circle of entertainment, and I don't know why, but he like popped up on my YouTube once for something, and it was a subject that like I actually had some understanding of, and I was like, oh, let's catch the opinion. I catch myself watching him talk about stuff way more now. Like I don't really do like his gameplay videos, but just him just like picking a subject and shitting on it for 5 minutes.
Like my roommate never watched it, and never understood why people liked Critical, and then he watched a couple of videos and he's like, okay, I get it now. But
and
he does something that I started doing. He watches Critical videos at like 1.25 or 1.5 speed because I can't. Yeah. He's so long-winded sometimes that I have to put it at 1.5.
Dude,
he's
I
like
love
one of the few people I do that for.
It's crazy because like there's people out in the world that you meet that you're like, oh my god, we're almost the same person. The way he describes things, I was like, I do that. That's me.
He describes things so crazily. It's great. But I understand what he means every time.
He's like, your booger-sized brain as it rains from the heavens because you ate sausage at McDonald's. This is why you're an idiot. You're like, why does all that track with what my brain works with? Like I understand him.
You know, he makes sense out of nonsense, and that's why.
Oh yeah, and it's phenomenal, and I love every second of it.
Yeah. All right. So I don't think we're getting any Q&A tonight in the chat, which is totally fine. You guys don't have to participate. But if you do, in the future, might I remind you that there is a Patreon that I have.
Be real cool if you did.
And for as little as $1 Canadian, a.k.a. 66 cents American or whatever that is.
For 66 cents a day, you can feed your local community cat girl.
I
You can do it.
I will say that those of you who have generously donated on Patreon has helped out the show, not just the podcast, but a lot of my other content, and also saved me a couple of times from being, broke. So appreciate that.
Much
Those
love,
of you
much love.
who contribute to that. Of course, nothing is required. You can also still ask your questions in my Discord server if you are subscribed or a supporter. You guys get the same perks as the people on Patreon, except for the Patreon exclusive videos. Those are going to be exclusive to Patreon. So I have to give them some kind of thing.
Hence the name. So
I need to also update that. I don't do 18 plus content on Patreon anymore, at least not adult stuff. But
because nobody wants to go to jail.
yeah, and we are going to be talking about that in the extra topic that we do off screen. So
the late night.
So before we go over to that and we end the podcast, Mr. Up Here, this is your comeback to streaming. What are your plans?
Yeah. That's a great question. And when I figure that out, my life will become one with the universe. No, so this is the first time, and I kind of alluded to this earlier. This is the first time I've come back on Twitch since last year. When Resident Evil 4 dropped, I played, I think, 4 or 5 consecutive days with like maybe a day in between and beat the game on stream from beginning to end. And that was pre Separate Ways DLC. So I still have to do that at some point. But that was it. After the last time I streamed before that was like you and me in that October the year before.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2022 was like the last of my streaming career. And then I dropped the hell off for some reason. And then I came back for Resident Evil 4 and like a few small things that some people held together. And then that was it. Like I kind of disappeared off the internet for the most part. So now I'm finally at a place comfortably. I've moved into my new place. I've gotten internet that's at least held up conversation on Discord. So it's gonna be an experience to come back with the new gear and to see what I can get done. I'm still, if anybody has suggestions, by all means, of something that would be worth watching, I'm more into it. But Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time US to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time US is probably going to be my start, right? Like anytime you come out of retirement, you have to warm yourself back up. So we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
If things keep picking up, if things go well, I might start streaming more often. But like the older you get, it just gets really difficult to schedule things that you want to do with your off time.
I have to schedule everything because if I don't, then like I gorilla stream from time to time, but like I can't do that all the time.
Gorilla stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's and again, it's a different thing too, because there was a lot of burnout because I used to put a lot of time into just streaming, and then like you saw me, I'd stream like 11 hours some days, and it was like, yeah, great, but like why? Like when your audience is like maybe 15 people, you're really just not doing anything other than burning yourself out from something you enjoy.
You can't burn yourself at both candles. Or you can't burn yourself at both ends. Sorry.
Yeah, I do like burning myself with both candles. That is fun. So in this case, it's just like it'll be nice to come back and kind of ease into it and see where the thing is. Because again, the hardest hurdle is just going to be reestablishing my community and talking to people and being able to hang out with friends again. Like maybe it'll motivate people to start getting back on because a lot of our friends have stopped kind of gaming in a social sense. A lot of multiplayer games just aren't really striking chords with people. So you're seeing a lot
I've been mostly playing single player stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, we've got some things that we're gonna do at some point. That we talked about. Obviously, this podcast is a thing that we can do together. That's great, guys. I did do a shout out there. Go follow Mr. Up Here. He's gonna be back in some capacity. And when he finds out what it is he's doing, he'll let you know.
Yeah. There is some content that I did make pretty consistently. If you like, or if you have no idea who the hell I am and you want to get a good idea, either the Twitch channel, you can catch some clips, but like realistically, some of my best moments are on YouTube. Like, and the thing that I'm the most proud of is my ridiculous thumbnails. So if you look at those, you can kind of see who I am as a person.
Do you want to drop a link to your YouTube in the chat?
Yeah, I can find that, I guess. That's how little I use that channel. And then I have a music channel that I used to put out music and we'll be bringing back up pretty consistently. So if you guys like rock music, you can find me on there. It's a thing.
Okay, cool. While he's getting those links from my camp, This week I have Monday. I'm still doing Fable with Kurama, so that's happening. Tuesday I'm doing more 16-bit winter stuff. Now that I finished um, both Lords of Exile and Arzette, Jewel of Faramore, I'm moving on to other games I picked up for 16-bit winter because we've only got like another week or two of it left before the celebration is over. So that'll be happening on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm doing more Wii U stuff with my friends One Roll and Bloody and other people. I think it's just him and I this coming Wednesday because we're gonna do Tekken Tag Tournament 2 and probably 007
Ew.
Legends. Again, we are doing this
Legends. Good luck.
We are doing this Wii U stuff because the servers are for the Wii U Online are getting shut down in April. So this is kind of our last chance to play a lot of these games. So we're doing them live. And on Saturday, I'm probably going to do some more Genshin, or not Genshin, sorry, some more Honkai Star Rail, because it's been a while, and I need to do more of the story so I can get the new stuff. And that's what's happening with streaming. In terms of content, new episodes of Power Plays are going up, as well as new Zero Plays episodes on the YouTube channel. And on my review channel, I have a new review I'm working on, which is coming out soon. I'm actually about just over halfway through doing all the audio editing, and that's the longest part of the editing portion. So that most of that's done. I'm working on that as well, and hopefully an April Fool's Day video, which hopefully I can get out in time. We'll see. But yeah, that's a big we'll see. But yeah, that's from my camp. Streams, videos, all that stuff. So before we wrap this up, is there anything you want to say before we close this off, Jacob?
Well, mainly, thanks everyone. I appreciate it. If anybody came out to see us tonight, I really appreciate you. Zero, thanks so much for having me back for my return, I guess, to the internet. It was good. Firstly, it was just great catching up with you because I know that we haven't been able to talk up until recently.
We've just been so busy. It's hard, right?
Yeah, so being an adult with adult responsibilities is basically like having a full-time job on top of being a human, which is life. So yeah, it's been fun. Especially these adjustments. Yeah, exactly. But now that life is settled and things are kind of good, like thanks for having me. Like mainly, it's just like thanks for having me. Thanks for still being a fantastic friend and supporting me and stuff as things have gone on. Thanks everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, I didn't talk all of your ears off. I mean, 3 hours is a hell of a podcast episode. So
yeah, it's a hell of a return, overdue, right?
So at least nobody can say that we're not keeping the content up because that's not accurate.
Exactly. So, guys, we're going to leave this here. The next time we do this, I'll make an announcement. Right now, we're just testing the waters, probably making it a monthly thing. I do have some interviews I want to do with other guests, mainly some VTubers, because I haven't gotten a chance to do too many VTubers on my podcast, and I think it'd be cool. There's some people I want to boost and get out there and get a chance to shoot the shit with. But we'll be probably doing it. Mr. Up Here and I will probably be doing this at least monthly to try and keep it consistent, especially with Summer Games Fest coming up in June, which I'm very excited for.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm excited to see what comes out. Hopefully something that makes me excited again, because not a lot of games have done that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, okay, well, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm going to find a raid target on the ending screen, and I'll be back tomorrow on Twitch for Fable, and apparently Mr. Up Here might be back tomorrow on Twitch for whatever.
Boom.
Who knows?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out anyways. And if you're watching on YouTube, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps out. Share it around. Join us on Patreon if you want to get some of that Patreon exclusive stuff. And join the Discord server if you want to join in for things like Toku Tuesday. Right now we're watching Garo, which is if you might recognize if you play Final Fantasy 14, because it is there's an armor set in that game. We're watching the actual show that's about. So on Tuesdays for Toku Tuesday in the server, or if you just want to hang out with some cool peeps, you can join the Discord server as well. And you can put ! Discord in the chat for that if you're live, or you can just look down below in the video description if you're looking on YouTube. This is your last chance to say goodbye to YouTube before I end the video off. Thanks again. Stop here for coming on, and I can't wait to have another sit-down discussion about stupid shit again with you.
Yep, it'll be great. I promise to rein it in. I will get better at my hosting ability.
Hey, listen. I'm bad too.
We'll be bad together.
We can be bad. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
See ya.